loneliest number that you'll ever
do.
Two
Could be as bad as one.
loneliest number one. Love is the saddest experience you ever know. Yeah, it's the saddest experience you ever know. 'Cause one is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. One is the loneliest number. It's just no good anymore since you went away. Now I spend my time just making rhymes of yesterday. One is the loneliest number one. Is the loneliest number one. Is the loneliest number that you ever do. One is the loneliest. One is the loneliest. It's just no good anymore since you went away. Number one is the loneliest. Number one is the loneliest. Number one is the loneliest number that you ever do. Number one is the loneliest. Number one is the loneliest. Number one is the loneliest number that you ever do. Number one.
Salutations, lovebirds and hopeless romantics. Welcome to Podcast The Storm, where bleeding hearts, soulful poets, and all-around sad sacks come to debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host, the nerdy occultist, a.k.a. the authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Hello, folks. Brainstormer got me addicted to Dragon Prince, and now it's all I can think about. God damn it.
And I might get you addicted to another show. Sorry. Not really, but...
Well, it's only fair. I suspect I'm going to get you addicted to Dresden Files. So.
You got me addicted to Sandman, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am your host, last time Lord Wannabe, the Brainstormer of Pop Culture. How's everyone doing tonight?
I am doing kind of well.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, like, nothing really has happened over the last few days or anything. I mean...
Yeah, it was a mostly uneventful week apart from binging Dragon Prince.
Yeah.
So,
fun story, actually. He thought the whole 3 seasons were one whole season.
Yeah, because I'm used to shows actually having a decent length of season. Stop with this fucking 10 episode per season bull crap.
Actually, I prefer seasons that are shorter because that means less time for filler.
I prefer my seasons of shows to be like 18 to 22 episodes long. So
yeah, but I've seen too many kind of fuck that up. So
right, and it is the writer's responsibility to make sure that time is used well, but especially in the case of Dragon Prince, the places it would have stopped if I was just going based on what the seasons they wanted it to be didn't really make much sense. So having the 30 episodes of the last apparently 3 seasons be one season makes more sense, because then the big final battle is the season finale, and then the cocoon and all of that shit is set up for next season.
Well, to be fair, those 3 seasons are set up for the rest of the story of the epic that is being told.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a whole Netflix thing. Like you have to break it down apparently into small. Honestly, again, like I'm more preferred. Like if you're going to do a series like a season, make the number. Don't have like a set number of episodes. Set the number to the story that needs to be told.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a topic for a different day because we have things we need doing. So
We also have things that need to get done next month. So
mm-hmm.
when in Greece, I suppose.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, this is something Dawn pretty much sent me everything for this month, or at least this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so okay, so this is from GreekCityTimes.com. Dalton, no, sorry, folks. I'm kind of a little. I think I'm starting to run out of gas here. I've been up since like. I had some. I've had some sleeping problems. All right, so the deep influence of Greek mythology on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, lovers. We all know that Greeks don't need it to be Valentine's Day to be a great lover, as we are great lovers every day. 50-50. Anyway, but did you know that the origins for the holiday and many of its symbols have there's a mistake there. Symbols have roots squarely planted in ancient Greece. This by GCT.
Well, I did know this. I knew that. See, the Greeks and Romans usually dedicated an entire month to a festival of a deity, and February originally was the festival known as Veneralia, or the Festival of Venus, for the Romans, and then of course the Greeks had a similar festival because the Romans borrowed most of everything from the Greeks, where they worshipped Aphrodite. And of course, as per usual, when the monotheists came calling and converting, the people didn't want to give up their holidays, so the church slapped a new label on it, gave it a Christian coat of paint, and called it good.
I thought you.
Well, there's more I could say, but I want to kind of give the
You don't want
give the
to.
article a chance to act as a jumping off point where it needs to.
Give me a second to wipe my glasses here. Stuff on them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. We think of Valentine's Day as a Christian holiday. Again, it's more 50-50 on that.
Yeah, I don't know many people who actually do consider it a Christian holiday. Like, you could kind of sort of make the argument with Valentine's Day because most people know the like a kind of nursery rhyme about how St. Patrick drove all the snakes and by extension the pagans out of Ireland, and how that sort of tethers it to the Christian canon. But most people don't even know the lore of Saint Valentine, and even then, I think more people actually know about Cupid and Aphrodite in this case than they know about why Valentine's Day is even called Valentine's Day.
We actually, I think in elementary school, we actually did a brief study on Valentine's Day and like learned the story, but I barely remember that because it was elementary. I was like,
yeah, we did the same thing, but yeah, I can't go back that far into my brain and poke.
Well, no, it's like I had other things on my mind. Again, like I'm like what 8 or 9 years old at the time. You don't really pay attention when you're in school, so.
No, you don't. Also, you were probably going through some shit because that tends to be how your life works.
Actually, around that time, I was before a lot of bullshit. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Yeah, let me start over. We think of Valentine's Day as a Christian holiday, but the truth is that the roots for the holiday and many of its symbols were borrowed from the Romans, and they borrowed most of their ideas and stories from the Greeks.
Yeah, I like I said, I just explained the whole. Usually, if anything is considered a quote unquote Christian holiday, it's because the powers that be in the church at the time needed to convert some people to Christianity, because there actually aren't that many excuses for holidays in the actual Bible if you look at the fucking thing. Like the only thing that is said really is, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy, and even that is somewhat debatable because for the Jews the Sabbath is actually Saturday, and most Christians, obviously, acknowledge the Sabbath on Sunday rather than Saturday. So even the whole remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy thing is somewhat debatable amongst the Abrahamic religions. Um, and I believe actually Islam changes it even again and makes it Friday. But I could be wrong on that. I'm not as well versed in Islam as I am the other two. But yeah, most quote unquote Christian holidays, apart from maybe like Thanksgiving, which is technically a Christian holiday because the Puritans were Christians, um, is something that they borrowed from a pre-existing culture in order to make conversion easier. And no, that doesn't mean I'm anti-Christian or whatever. I'm going based on what the history is. The
Hello.
fact that the history also is more interesting that way is completely incidental.
Also, I'd like to point out the fact his best friend, hello,
Mhm.
is technically a Christian. I mean, doesn't really play much into effect, but
Yeah, but I just want to point that out because I saw in the comments of this article somebody bitching about how why do people always attack Christian holidays and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, to be fair, there are assholes like Adam Conover, for example, who do actually try to ruin shit with historical information. But when I say Valentine's Day and most other Christian holidays have pre-Christian roots, I am not doing that to ruin those holidays. In fact, in my mind at least, I think it's more interesting that multiple different cultures came to the same conclusion because that means that the thing in question is more universal. Like for example, in the case of Christmas and Halloween, the pre-Christian reason to celebrate them was a veneration of nature, which in my mind is um, much more primal and much more meaningful than just a birthday celebration, essentially. Um, and it's the same. It's the same thing with this. It being an expression of the force of love itself is much more universal and meaningful than some dude died a couple hundred years ago. So reasons. Anyway, moving forward. Sorry, ramble.
two of the most easily recognized symbols of Valentine's Day are the heart shape and Cupid. I'd say more the heart shape than Cupid, but that's just me because we never really.
Well, I mean,
Well, okay.
whenever they need to have a like Valentine's Day special or something, it is always Cupid doing
Okay,
it.
fair. But when I was growing up, I never really saw that like when we would celebrate, like in school, like elementary and stuff. We never really saw
Mhm.
Cupid. We just saw like hearts and stuff.
Well, hearts though usually with an arrow through them, which implies
No, just
Cupid.
hearts.
So.
Just hearts.
Mm.
Again, that
Well, I guess you did come up 4 years after me, so it might have changed slightly. from when I was
That's
a kid.
that's weird. Really, the only time I remember really like finding out about Cupids was the Ed and Eddie Valentine special. What was it called?
Hanky Panky Hullabaloo, I believe, was the one that was
Yeah.
the Valentine's Day one.
Yeah.
And Rolf, with
Square
his
minutes into his eyes to find the Cupids.
yeah
with
his
Sarah,
weird peasant magic thing.
Jimmy, Sarah and Jimmy.
Yeah. Although that confused me when I was a kid, because like Rolf is like East European, like somewhere in the vicinity of like Germany or Russia, somewhere, or maybe Switzerland.
I assume. Sorry, no, please.
And like Cupids and Erodes are Greco-Roman, so I was that very much confused me. Granted, there are all sorts of East European spirits that do similar things to Cupid that are more and actually are a little bit more mischievous. Like off the top of my head, in Slavic, I'm more familiar obviously with English folklore, and in English folklore, you have two different figures. There's the Lananshi and the Gonkana. The Lananshi is a muse essentially, but the thing about the Lananshi is she offers artists inspiration at the cost of their lives. It's thought that anyone who is a lover to a Lananshi will create brilliant works of art and brilliant works of poetry, but they will die young and in tragedy. And the Gonkana is sort of the male equivalent of the Lananchi in that he seeks out men and women to be his lovers, but he drastically shortens their lives in the process. And I know for a fact there are also Slavic like equivalents. I just can't think of the names of them off the top of my head.
To be fair, I always assumed he was like from, not. Yeah, I did assume East Europe, but for some reason I kept thinking like from Transylvania or something. Like
Yeah, somewhere in like the vicinity of like the Slavic countries or Romania or somewhere like that.
Yeah, because like you remember the Halloween one, which is actually kind of my favorite thing from Ed and Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just like he kind of came off like he knew, even though like he's a foreigner, he doesn't know much about Halloween, but it just seemed like he was in his element during that time.
Yeah, and then of course there's the weird, like almost Viking quality to his family honor thing.
Yeah, I think he was just supposed to be obviously like just an amalgamation of a lot of Eastern European.
Yeah, I mean, in the flashback episodes towards the end of the series, we see him as a child, and he's like in the Swiss mountains in the Alps. So like, there's something there.
And yet he's like tanned with blue hair.
Well, I imagine the tan has to do with the fact that he's outside doing, rugged farm work and shit all the time.
Fair. God, that's a total sidebar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both of these have their roots solely planted in ancient Greece. Beyond the symbols of Valentine's Day, Greece embodies many of the ideals of love, romance, long life with the ones we love, and great food.
To be fair, this is not a unique stereotype to the Greeks. For example, and I hesitate to bring this up, but it's gonna put a smile on my face anyway. The Spaniards are also known to be great lovers as well.
I'm American, so that doesn't really apply to me.
I'm sorry. I had to say it.
All he did was make me feel worse about myself, which is actually quite an accomplishment.
Well, you shouldn't. Like I keep telling you, someday you're gonna find someone who will make you happy, and they will be lucky to have you.
True that, but yeah. Again, like there's not really much here from me myself personally because I'm gonna be honest. I don't have as much. I am not an encyclopedia of random facts and knowledge that Dalton is. Please take that as a compliment because it kind of is.
This is my area of expertise, and it's kind of always been the way I am. My tendency to just randomly vomit out information is something I've had since I was a very little kid. So, yeah, this is not news to me. And I appreciate the fact that you actually appreciate my tendency to just randomly trail off into expositional monologues. Because most of the time it annoyed the shit out of people.
And I do it myself, so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right. So, from laurels and arrows to olives and wine, Greece is a place where lovers can live and grow old together in comfort and good wealth. Yeah, if you were rich. If you were poor, life was kind of shit.
Yeah. Also, again, this is not really unique. I mean, I understand the whole national pride thing, and believe me, the Greeks do have a lot to be proud of in terms of their culture. I mean, fucking cradle of Western civilization, anyone. But that being said, a lot of different cultures have this sort of artistic lover / warrior archetype. And I'm kind of amazed that they skipped right to Cupid and they didn't mention Aphrodite, because I mean, Cupid is probably more famous than Aphrodite is, but if we're going based on the ancient Greek sort of love mythos, then Aphrodite should have come up at some point. Although that would have put the theme song from Hercules, the animated series that she always had, in my head, which is now going to be stuck there the rest of the day. Fuck. Because apparently when Aphrodite gets summoned in Disney's Hercules mythos, she comes with her own theme song and a backup choir. Because why not?
I mean, it's Aphrodite, so she would be that extra.
Yeah, she is the prima donna of the gods. So.
I don't feel bad for Hephaestus, right? Hephaestus.
Oh yeah, because of the cheating with Ares.
Yeah. Although I am also aware of the fact that he's only married to her because Zeus, I think it was to punish Aphrodite.
Yeah. Also, apparently Hephaestus is even more crippled than I am, because he was just beaten the fuck out of when he was a young god.
Why doesn't that surprise me? Like,
I mean, there are stories about him being literally thrown from the top of Mount Olympus.
he works at the bottom of Mount Olympus, so again, that does not surprise me.
Yeah.
All right.
Which brings up an interesting question of how exactly the fuck do you cripple a god?
Other gods. So.
Well, yeah, but still, it's like, how many, like, what equivalent to nukes did you have to use to, like, cripple a god? But never mind. That's a sidebar for a different day.
Yeah. All right. It is no coincidence that one of the 5 places in the world with the longest life expectancy is in Greece. What the? How does that?
This is like a Greek nationalist publication, so it's very much national pride and stuff. So I get it. I get it. It's fine. And again, the Greeks have a lot to be proud of because, again, cradle of Western civilization. But you know,
again, like I'm not disagreeing with that. It's just like I don't get why the longest life expectancy thing is really
relevant to the
Yeah.
point that they're trying to make in regards to the whole love thing. I think it's that life expectancy is tied to happiness, so the whole long-lived love thing
I'm actually surprised
translates to.
then I am honestly surprised you and I have made it this far.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
look
I'm
at
not. I'm
look
not
at our,
expecting to make it past 50, if I'm entirely honest.
and now it got dark. Jesus.
Well, I mean, with all of my health issues and everything else, it's not exactly unheard of that I'd die younger than I would like, but whatever.
I mean, hey, 50 is still pretty good though.
Yeah.
So yeah. Moving forward.
Yeah. Backing away from the abyss.
Greek food is far healthier than the foods in many other nations, and the Greeks are known for reducing stress and enjoying life. Again, like
Relevance. Objection based on relevance to the
yeah,
point.
two of Greece's biggest contributions to the culinary world are figs and olives. My grandfather loves like fig cookies. So, I mean, he's Italian, so
My grandma, may she rest in peace, absolutely loved fig Newtons. So yeah, I can relate to this as well.
I tried them. I to be
Yeah,
fair,
they're not one of my favorites, but they always make me nostalgic because she liked them so much.
there's actually a funny story. A couple days ago, I went with him to the store. He bought an extra bag, bought an extra roll of fig cookies. He has another one in the pantry, unopened.
Well, I mean, dude likes his cookies. I can't really blame him for this.
No, but the thing about my grandfather is he only buys things that we need to get or like things we're out of. Granted,
Well, I mean, again, stockpiling your favorite sweet, I can't really fault him for.
I mean, fair. Anyway, again, I have no. I can't.
Yeah, I object to this mostly based on relevance. Although interesting fact, it was olives were associated with the goddess Athena, and it was thought that there was a sacred olive tree in Athens that she gave to the Athenians, and that's why um Athens became the capital city-state of Greece when the Greek city-states did finally unify. So interesting.
Mm.
Again, not really relevant to anything, but as long as we're pulling random factoids out of our asses, I can play that game too. I can win at that game. God damn it.
Yeah. All right. The origins of Cupid. Cupid is the name of a little angelic cherub that inspires love by striking two people with his arrows of love. Yeah, the only way, like the main image I keep picturing when I picture Cupid is a Robot Chicken sketch, where this Cupid fucks up and shoots the arrows into the groins of the woman and the man.
That would certainly explain a few dozen permutations of evolution now, wouldn't it?
Well, no, he says like, "Am I doing this wrong?"
Yeah, again, it sort of does explain how lustful relationships happen. But anyway, I find it kind of annoying that the person writing this defaults to the youthful cherub image of Cupid, because that's kind of a Christian malformation of Cupid. Cupid was originally a god of love and lust. The ancient Greek name for him, I believe, was Eros, and he was considered the child of Aphrodite. But the whole cherubic angel thing didn't happen until after the Victorian era, because the Victorians had this terrible habit of taking things that were otherwise intense and kind of sanitizing the shit out of them. Which is why when you think of fairies, usually people think of the Tinkerbell style fairy, because that was how the Victorians took the bite out of the ancient understanding of fairies as nature-based trickster spirits. And the same thing happened with elves. It used to be the notion of elves was a lot closer to the Lord of the Rings style elf, but after the Victorian era, they conflated elves with brownies and other house spirits, and then we got the little Santa Claus freaking elves. And with Greek mythology, the same kind of thing happened. So Cupid got turned from a god of, romance and powerful lust to little baby creature thing.
Yeah, wonder how they feel about all this.
I suspect it is quite literally goddamned. But I'm ching.
I mean, probably. Anyway, sorry. Although we have come to think of Cupid as a little child with pinchable cheeks, the original Cupid was a Roman god. Oh, well, not Roman.
Points for correcting yourself. But why did you entertain that? See, this is where I start to get annoyed, because for as much beating of the drum of Greece is awesome, this person has been doing, she shouldn't have needed to default to the pop culture image to begin with. She could have just gone with the god thing, and it would have been fine. But apparently not. Anyway, moving on.
And the Romans put him straight out of Greek mythology, leaving his story intact and just renaming him. The origins for Cupid are in the Greek god Eros, the son of Aphrodite. The original fated lover story began with a human woman named Psyche.
I mean, sometimes Psyche is mortal, sometimes she's a nymph. I kind of prefer the version of the story where she's a nymph, because it makes things make sense later, because eventually Psyche became considered a minor goddess in her own right, so it sort of makes more sense that she was a nymph originally than if she was mortal, because as far as we know, there is no mechanism in Greek mythology for mortals to become gods. There's the ancient there's the ancient rite of apotheosis in some other cultures, but in ancient Greece, you were either mortal or you were a demigod or you were divine. There was really no intermixing. Sometimes you could go from demigod to god, like I believe in some versions, Heracles / Hercules did actually transcend his mortality and become a god. But if you were just straight vanilla mortal, there really wasn't much of a mechanism to transcend and become a deity. So, in my preferred version of the story, Psyche is a nymph, but never mind. Moving forward.
Yeah. The original fated lover story began with a human woman named Psyche. She was beautiful, and men began to worship her beauty, neglecting the altar of Aphrodite. Angered that humans would neglect her for a mere mortal, Aphrodite ordered her son Eros to cause Psyche to fall in love with the vilest thing he could find. Upon seeing the woman, Eros fell in love with her. That just points out how Aphrodite is kind of a, what's the word? Self-obsessed.
Prima donna bitch.
Oh no, okay. I'm going. Let me go street on this. Y'all can make fun of me all you want, but that just proves how much of an uptight, self-centered hoe bag that Aphrodite was.
just want to go on record that this kind of applies to all of the Greek gods.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Like, it's kind of why I don't really like Greek gods that much.
And also, pray that we don't get smited because God, like if we were back in ancient Greek times, this would be enough to be turned into something.
You'd be
This
dead.
is how
I'd
people
probably
get turned into freaking swans or some shit.
Dude, you'd probably be dead, and you'd be like killed at birth. I'd probably be a slave. So I'm kind of glad we're not in ancient Greece.
Why was your default assumption slave?
I don't know. I just feel like the way I am, I'd probably be taken as a slave, just because they're very stupid.
You'd probably at least be a gladiator. I could definitely see you being a gladiator.
Probably, but still a slave nonetheless.
Yeah, but still, I think you'd have a little bit more cachet than just a generic slave.
Fair. All right. Where was I? Unable or unwilling to curse her as his mother wanted, Eros chose Psyche for his wife, but he told her that she would never be able to look at him nor ask his identity. She agreed, not knowing who he was.
I mean, that seems like a rather weird stipulation, but there is sort of a running theme in Greek mythology about like the sacredness of identity and the trust of gaze, like in Orpheus and Eurydice. Persephone's one stipulation for letting Orpheus and Eurydice out of the underworld was that Orpheus would have enough trust for Eurydice that he wouldn't look back to make sure she was following him. So, I mean, it is sort of a running theme in myth.
To my modern sensibilities, it's kind of stupid, but that she agreed. But you know.
Well, but I mean, he probably came to her in some kind of disembodied voice form anyway, so she probably knew that whoever he was something more than just mortal. So she probably was sitting there thinking, well, I mean, I don't get to know who he is, but I'm married to a god, so win?
Yeah. Eros hid her in a place his mother would not find her, but Psyche was allowed to see her family, a kindness he allowed since she could not see him. Since they could only spend time together at night, Psyche invited her sisters to visit during the day. Of course, they were jealous of her life and convinced her to break her husband's trust by looking at him. Eros fled after Psyche's betrayal.
And again, this is a theme that is often explored within Greek mythology. Whether it actually happened that way or not, no one can really say, but there does appear to be this this unspoken, almost virginal trust thing of like the binding of love being stronger than knowledge, kind of.
All I'm getting is that the Greek gods are fucked and stupid.
Well, I mean, not all of them, but yeah, the Olympians particularly, yeah.
Yeah, the Olympian gods are.
Yeah. You can't really say that about the older gods like
Primordials and the Titans.
Yeah, you can't really say that about them. At least not as far as we know. Like for example, like my boy Dream only really does his job and doesn't really screw around with people. Or yeah, heavens forbid, the goddess Hecate is not someone you want to screw with lightly.
Okay. Full of regret for having listened to her sisters, Psyche finally sought out Aphrodite to ask her to reunite her with Eros. Aphrodite had not forgiven Psyche for attracting men away from the temples of Aphrodite, and was even further angered by the fact that Eros had also defied her. Bitch, you defy your marriage all the time. You don't get to fucking talk.
Also, your entire like existence is defying Zeus. So yeah.
She a hoe. She just a hoe.
Well, I mean, to be fair to her, she is the goddess of love and beauty, so it's kind of inevitable that she would be the.
To be a hoe?
Well, I mean, when you're literally a goddess of beauty and no one can refuse you, how are you ever gonna learn like consent and self-control?
She a hoe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, instead of helping Psyche, Aphrodite gave her 4 seemingly impossible tasks. The last one was a trap, and Psyche sprung it as Aphrodite knew she would. Psyche was then trapped in the realm of Hades, where when Eros learned what had happened to her, he sought the help of Zeus to bring Psyche back from the dead. Unwilling to let anything else bad befall her, Eros brought Psyche back to Mount Olympus, where she was bestowed immortality as his wife.
Yeah, and see, this is where I'm in the camp of she was probably not immortal, or she was probably not mortal to begin with, or at least not entirely mortal. She was probably at least a demigoddess to begin with. Although, to be fair, there's a difference between being immortal and being a god. There is a substance in Greek mythology called ambrosia that can bestow immortality onto mortals, but it doesn't actually give them godlike power. It just makes them immortal. At least as far as I know.
Eventually, Aphrodite relented, and the couple was one of the few examples of lovers finally finding a happy ending in Greek mythology. Again, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, love gets fucked over in Greek mythology a lot, which has got to suck for Aphrodite, who is literally the goddess of that shit. Also, the other goddess who gets screwed over almost as much as Aphrodite is Hera, who is the goddess of marriage. So whatever that says about Greek culture / the deities they worshipped, I don't know. But
I feel like you should watch Blood of Zeus. Just out of curiosity, because it's made by the same studio who do Castlevania.
I started watching it. I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, right, yeah. The topic for another day. Anyway, it is a story that has survived through the millennia, transcending many empires and changes to be a part of the world of romance today. I got nothing to say to this because I don't get why it's there.
Yeah, maybe they'll explain.
Why the heart shape is the next part. The term heart-shaped conjures up almost the exact same image the world over. But the curious thing is that the heart shape looks almost nothing like an actual heart.
Yeah, the actual heart itself does not look anything like the cartoon heart that
It's
we
fucking
all.
horrifying, actually.
Hmm?
It's actually fucking horrifying, like a real heart.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks cool. In fact, this one time when I went to a steampunk convention, they were selling these cameo necklaces that had an anatomically correct heart image on it, and I wish I'd gotten one, honestly, but I didn't. My a friend of mine got one for his girlfriend though, and that was cool.
Neat. All right. There are many theories about why the heart shape originated, but the shape began to gain popularity among the time that Chaucer began to change the perception of St. Valentine's. Sorry. of St. Valentine's, which helped make it the Valentine's Day holiday that we know today. However, the idea of the heart has long been associated with love. No shit. Even before the Greek philosopher Aristotle, Greeks tied the idea of love to the human heart.
Mhm.
Here's a question on why, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of missing context here. Basically,
Well, no,
um,
there's stuff here too, but
okay.
yeah. All right, so it was believed that the human heart contained all the memories about love. Even today, we believe that the heart skips a beat when we see the one we love.
Well, I mean, that's kind of accurate. See, the thing was, um, in ancient cultures and in Greek, but also in many other cultures, blood, blood, life and blood were essentially inextricably linked together. So passion literally flowed with blood, according to the sort of ancient philosophy. And the heart, being the nexus point of all the blood, was also considered to be the home and the seat of all the passions. That's the slightly more detailed, but also slightly more simplified version. Blood was associated with life and passion, so the place where the blood all collected was naturally the place where people thought love was born. Yeah. Moving forward.
Neat. All right. We may know that the brain contains all the memories and thoughts that we have about the people we love, but our emotions are in our hearts. It is even common to hear people talk about the heart and head as if they were in direct opposition to each other. And it is the heart that is the one that longs for someone or something out of love, even when we know it may not be in our own best interests.
Yeah, again, this is in the category of no shit.
Yeah. I'll be honest, Don, that may be one of the ones I think kind of wasted our time on.
A bit, yeah. I was expecting a little bit more analysis,
Like,
but
again, no offense, but
yeah. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I did it better.
Okay, so hello, Slifer Claw. Baboon butts, I say. Baboob butts.
Yeah, because the shape of the cartoon heart is actually slightly closer in shape to the female ass.
Huh. I never known. Okay.
Mm.
I'm just waiting for the next article to properly load.
Hmm.
Uh, okay. Yeah, I should be ready now. So we're gonna be trying to finish the articles we were supposed to finish last week because of the super long first article we had last week that we actually had to do. It was a two-parter, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna try and finish them tonight.
Hmm.
It's awesome having Dalton translation service at Scyther Claw.
I mean it's my one talent. It's the one thing I'm good for.
I mean, you have other talents, but no, that one is actually appreciated in terms of right now. So, all right. So this is from the not Vulture, Vox.com.
Hmm.
Keep in mind, this is. I just want to say this first. This is published September 27th, 2018. So it's a couple of years old. The rape culture of the 1980s, explained by 16 Candles.
This is gonna be a while. I can already feel it. Oh boy.
The beloved romantic comedies date rape scene provides important context for the Brett Kavanaugh accusations. God damn it.
You literally could go 5 sentences without tying it to some irrelevant real world political bullshit.
This by Constance Grady. Nice name.
I have a strong feeling that you're about to be very grating on me, Miss Grady. But I'm Ching.
Excuse me. I had pork chops earlier, so I might have some indigestion.
Ah.
Anyway, when a third woman, God damn it, when a third woman accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct this week, Kavanaugh supporters immediately stepped forward with a familiar defense. It couldn't have happened because surely if it had, someone would have said something at the time. I don't want to get. I mean, like, we kind of have to, but
Okay, yeah. The short version is the question of, if it happened and it was so big and traumatic, why didn't you say anything for 30 years? Why is it only when the person is about to ascend to some sort of public office or public service position that it becomes an issue? And if it was because it was so traumatizing that you didn't want to say anything out of fear, then how the fuck does trying to scuttle the career of a Supreme Court justice make you less afraid than when he was just some fucking dude? Because I gotta tell you, if I was afraid of somebody, I would be more afraid of them when they were in a position of power than when they weren't. Just saying. So either the question is, why didn't you say anything for 30 years? Or the question is, if you were really that traumatized and that afraid, then how the fuck does him being a Supreme Court justice now make you less afraid and not more? Because that doesn't make sense. Generally, if we're afraid of people, we're more afraid of them when they have power over us than when they're not, when they don't. It's kind of like saying fuck you to some random homeless guy on the street is a lot less intimidating than saying fuck you to a head of state. Because that might get you thrown in fucking prison, depending on where and when you say it. Saying fuck you to the random homeless dude on the street is very, very different from saying fuck you to Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping or somebody moving forward.
Mm. In a sworn okay. In a sworn declaration but delivered through her lawyer, Michael Avental, Julie Swetnick, whatever, avowed that she witnessed Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh drug girls at high school house parties, where the girls were later gang raped. Jesus
Once
Christ.
again, this was high school, and every motherfucker on the planet did stupid shit in high school.
Not excusing it, by the way, if shit has happened like that.
No, by no means. I'm just saying. To say that the person is the same person they were in high school 30 years later is dipshitty.
And again, like, if shit like that actually happened, motherfucker, you should. Like, that should have. Why are you waiting now?
Yeah, and again, if it was because you were so afraid and so traumatized by it, then how the fuck did you get up the courage to say it now when the person in question now has even more power and authority over you than they previously did. That's not usually how fear works. Usually, one of the things that scares us about people is the idea of being dominated and losing control of ourselves. And if a person can exhibit even more control over us than they previously could, we generally fear them more. It's kind of like an abusive partner might be scary, but an abusive partner who will literally chain you to the bed is even more scary than that.
I'm gonna get a drink. I feel like I need it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, we got beer, but I do not want to get drunk for the first time on stream. So
Don't become an alcoholic, please. I want you to outlive me.
yep. All right. Be right back.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart and please don't break it. Love was made for me and you. Or love was made for me and you.
I'm back with root beer.
Huzzah.
If I can't get drunk with regular beer, I'll drink root beer.
It's a very good thing most commercial root beers are not actually alcoholic. Because then they would be the root of a much larger problem. But
Scyther Claw says it does happen, but your B statement rings true. They will not come out and speak, and usually there will be evidence where they tried to speak up.
Yeah.
I
And if there's some reason you don't trust the police because something patriarchy, then why do you trust them now all of a sudden after 30 years of not trusting them?
Okay. Swetnik further says that Kavanaugh was present at a party where she herself was drugged and raped, although she does not directly say that he participated in her rape. Oh, what? Oh. Okay.
Once again, why now if you were so afraid for 30 years that you didn't say anything, and if you weren't afraid or something, then why is it important now? And also, people are not the same people they were in high school. People mature and people change and people grow. Judging a person by what they did in high school is probably the stupidest and shittiest thing you could conceivably do. That doesn't mean what he did wasn't wrong, if in fact all of this shit is true, but to essentially condemn a person's life to, political suicide and irrelevance based on something they did in high school once is really, really underhanded and shitty. And you may not be actually solving any problems here. You may, in fact, be adding to problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old adage of two wrongs don't make a right. If this is true, he did some terrible things to you in high school, but nuking his career from orbit with rape accusations does not make it right, especially because he probably isn't the same person he was in high school.
It's not to say that he's the one who did it. Like, seriously.
Yeah, which isn't to say that this is true or not true. It's just to say that giving you the most benefit of the doubt I can, even that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because even giving you the most benefit of the doubt I can in the idea that he did all of this and uncritically accepting that, it still doesn't give you the right to drudge up a 30-year-old offense and nuke his career from orbit over it. Because apparently it either wasn't important enough to you to mention for 30 years, or you were so traumatized with fear that you didn't mention it, in which case I must ask, why are you less afraid now, given that he has more power now than he ever did? That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. In a statement released by the White House, Kavanaugh, who has denied all 3 allegations against him, called Swetnick's statement ridiculous and from the Twilight Zone. His denial was widely echoed by supporters to whom the idea that such terrible things could happen on a routine basis and that no one would do anything to stop them or even avoid the parties is absurd.
Okay, that is a straw man if ever I heard one. We're not saying it's impossible that these things happen or that these things happen on the regular. We're saying that if these things do indeed happen on the regular, you are not acting in a manner that is actually likely to get you any relief from this issue. You are acting extremely irrationally in the event that these things actually did happen. And if these things actually did happen to you, first of all, my condolences, and secondly, you are not helping your own case with this behavior.
Yeah, speak up.
You are making it worse. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, speak up when that shit happens because you kind of need to.
Yeah, because evidence and like reasonable doubt and shit.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, eating.
Yeah.
If a crime happened, this argument presumes, surely everyone involved would have recognized that it was terribly wrong and someone would have spoken up at the time.
No, that's not what people are saying in general anyway. What people are saying is if this crime did happen, then you have essentially damned yourself by not acting on it for 30 years. And your behavior and your responses to this input are irrational and frankly self-destructive. Because had you said something 30 years ago when this alleged incident took place, you might have gotten reasonable restitution and the issue would have been resolved. But now that you're saying it, when all of the existing evidence is beaten to the fucking point of irrelevance, and it looks very much like an opportunistic power grab, you are casting unnecessary doubt on your own claims by waiting this long and by behaving in this manner. Granted, I do think in general that people would be more willing to help you than you think, because it seems very much like you were taught to be paranoid about this shit when you don't have any valid reason to be, because one of the things human beings are very, very, very keen on doing is protecting the source of offspring. And the source of offspring for fucking millions of years has been the female of the species. It's called gynocentrism. Look it up.
And in the less technical and cold-hearted version that Dawn is so used to doing, humans are empathetic, mostly. There are
Yep.
times, but this kind of shit, most people would agree, I assume, is fucked and needs to be handled immediately.
Yeah, nobody likes being the villain in their own story, and everybody likes being the person who helps out a victim. Unless they have a severe empathy disorder like malignant narcissism or psychopathy. But there aren't enough of those people to really do much in the way of fucking up the species. If you say to a normal human being, this happened to me, and you have reasonable evidence to back it up, then it's entirely likely that whoever did that to you is going to get lynched and hanged from a fucking streetlight. Because that's usually what most lynchings were actually about. It was someone claimed they had been violated sexually or their honor had been reduced in some intimate way. And the mob violence responded to that with, let's teach that fucker a lesson and deal. It was basically like the mob song from Beauty and the Beast.
I'll move on.
Yeah.
But if there's one thing we could take away from the popular culture of the 1980s, when the alleged events took place, oh my god, it's that a sexual assault at the time might not have been immediately clear as what it was for participants and observers alike. Some of the most popular comedies of the 80s were filled with supposedly hilarious sequences that portray what in 2018 would be unambiguously considered date rape. Yeah, there's also something like, and I'll bring it up later, but
my big response to that is, by what definition and what criteria are you overdiagnosing the word sexual assault in that case? Or are you taking the scenes in question out of context to such a ludicrous degree that no one in their right mind would actually consider that behavior sexual assault? Because it seems very much like you're going in that route. Granted, maybe you have some argument that I'm not considering, but I very much doubt it. Moving forward.
Okay. As long as everybody involved is acquainted with each other, these movies tend to treat those rapes as harmless hijinks. They don't really count. They're funny even in movies as sweet and romantic as 16 Candles. I haven't seen 16 Candles.
I have.
Like, I know what you're talking about because we did cover it before, kind of. But again, like, I don't really, I've never really, it's, rom-coms aren't really my thing.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep.
Okay. The cultural understanding of rape in the 1980s was fundamentally different from how we understand it today. Was it, though?
Yeah, and there's also the question of, is that because you keep adding things to the definition that don't belong there? Are you actively expanding what counts as the concept of rape so that you can throw other things under the bus, even when they're not technically that? Because you see, I got into this the other day on an Angleton stream. If you change the definition of a concept or a word, you change how people react to that word. For example, in the case of the term white supremacy, people react negatively to the term white supremacy because it brings up images in people's heads of Nazi violence. However, if you broaden the term white supremacy to include all of Western culture, basically everything since ancient goddamn Greece, then you might conceivably get people saying, based on that definition, I don't think white supremacy is therefore bad. Well, in this case, if all you're talking about is a woman playing hard to get or two people being able to read each other's body language for cues of consent rather than constant verbal confirmation, then people aren't going to react the same way to the word rape than they are going to when rape just means someone violently forcing themselves on someone else. You see, because the reason why we consider the term rape bad or the concept of rape bad is because it has a negative definition. But if you change the definition to something neutral, the reaction people are going to have to the concept is also going to become neutral. Because by changing the definition, you actually change how people are supposed to react. You can't just trust that the word is going to maintain its cachet, its ire, all the way through, and then expand the definition so that even things that don't deserve the ire will get the ire anyway. That's not how language works. If you change the definition, you change how people react to whatever concept the definition is applying to. Moving on.
Mm-hmm. I have a difficult time believing any person will continue to go to according to the Aphrodite. I don't know that word.
Say that again.
Affidavit.
I believe it's affidavit, but I could be wrong.
I'm looking it up real quick. Written statement confirmed by oath of affirmation for use as evidence in court.
Yeah, it's affidavit.
Okay. I've never heard that word before, so that threw me for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
10 parties over a 2-year period where women were routinely gang raped and not reported. Yeah, like tweeted Senator Lindsey Graham after a woman came forward with her story. Yeah, like again, like it. 10 parties over 2 years, routinely, like that makes no sense. How would no one know about that or report it?
Also, why would the women in question keep showing up?
Well, high school girls, so.
Well, okay, but still, if there was actual gang rape going on, and you were a woman and you knew that there was actual gang rape going on, one would assume you would eventually decline the invitation to those kind of parties.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
And if you didn't, then I'm beginning to wonder if you don't maybe like the forceful BDSM style intercourse a little bit more than you might be letting on. And it's not rape if you actually do consent to it, you know. Unless this like 10 different sets of women each time, like
Again,
a different set of women each time, but even then, like, wouldn't this get around, at least among the women, if this was happening?
yeah.
Because people are gossipy bitches. This is kind of a human universal.
Yeah, at high school, like gossip is just kind of like one of the things that make high school kind of
Yeah, gossip is to high school what crack cocaine is to prisons.
It's like one of the lifebloods of it.
Yeah. And people get so hyper addicted to it that they literally have withdrawal symptoms. One of the reasons why I was such an antisocial loner in high school was because I had no patience for that shit.
No, same. To be fair, I wasn't. I was kind of just that was more just because I couldn't really. Well, no, most people I talked to would be kind of dumbasses, so I kind of refused talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking Valley girls. Like I said, most of the jocks are actually pretty smart and pretty cool. Like I knew some, but what I mean dumbass is just not overall just smart enough to not be just jackasses essentially. Anyway, that's a story for a different time. I got nothing really else to say, so should we continue on, or you got something else?
No, we can go ahead.
Okay. One obvious question about this account: why would she constantly attend parties where she believed girls were being gang raped? Asked National Review editor Rich Lowry. Yeah, like it's
That is the obvious question here. If you knew or strongly suspected this kind of shit was going on, one would assume you would decline that invitation like a motherfucker.
This is seemingly a joke, and also this article's from 2 years ago, so it's kind of dead and gone. Like the issue at hand.
Mm-hmm.
But how much you want to bet that some of these parties were low key high school orgies?
Yeah, because that does happen sometimes. Because high schoolers are assholes.
No, not assholes, just horny fucking things. As formerly a teenager, I can attest to this.
Yeah, I could attest to it too, but still, point being, high schoolers are dipshits. They think more with their genitals than with their brains.
Honestly, I'd also argue the point that girls think more with their genitals than dudes. Even I don't know.
In a lot of cases, yes. That hypergamy is a fucking hell of a drug.
High school, such a fucked up 4 years of life.
Yep.
I wouldn't change a single thing about it. Like my experience, anyway. I mean,
I would change quite a few things if I had it to do over again.
Anyway, hold on. Yeah, okay. Please, someone help me with this. Wrote conservative writer David French. Georgetown Prep boys frequently committed gang rape. Lots of people knew they were committing gang rape, and despite this common knowledge, no one has talked publicly for 3 decades until the day before a crucial Senate hearing. What? Like that's he said what? So yeah, no. Again, like you're just kind of repeating stuff, and I realize a lot of times I do this with articles like this, but
yeah, I think they're trying to address the counter arguments, but they're not addressing them in an actual meaningful way here.
Yeah. Again, it's just a fairly
it's an obvious question. If this was so traumatic and so important, then why didn't you mention it before? And if it was so traumatic that you were afraid to mention it, then how come you're not afraid now? Given that the situation has gotten worse now, and you had 30 years to get, for the fear to abate a little bit.
Yeah. Shall we?
Yep, moving forward.
Okay. This argument has been a common response to accusations of sexual misconduct over the past year of #MeToo discourse. because it's not actually helping anyone. It's making everything worse.
Yeah, and people keep bringing it up because you keep asserting all of this outrage and
Bullshit.
yeah, you keep asserting all of this shock and awe and horror and oh my and whatnot, and yet when someone offers a reasoned objection to your claim, it's oh my god, how dare you? How could you not believe women? You must be a misogynist, yada yada yada. Also, um,
You're right back.
yeah, I hate to be this guy, but are we ever gonna talk about how women sexually assault men or rape men at all? Or is that misogynist too?
I was saving that for later in the article.
Hmm.
I wanted to bring that up, but we'll talk more about it later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Hmm.
I've returned.
Huzzah.
But so far, this has nothing to do with what is proposed in the title of this article.
Yeah, it's been more about Me Too than it has been about 16 Candles, but I'm sure they'll get there.
Yeah, last fucking paragraph. It couldn't have happened because if it had, someone would have said so at the time.
No, the statement is, if this happened, why didn't you say anything at the time? It's not some naive assumption that the world is perfectly good and moral and everything always works out. It's a simple question of procedure of why didn't you say anything? And if you didn't say anything because you were afraid, then why did it take you 30 years to get over your fear? Or if you're still afraid, then why are you less afraid now than you were when the person in question had relatively little power over you? Because even if you didn't want to say anything in high school for fear of your, social status and popularity getting nerfed, there have been, 25, 26 years between the time you would have been in high school and now where you could have said something and made a meaningful case for this. And if you feel like you should just be able to say this whenever you want and no one should ever be able to challenge you, then I must point out the fact that there is this thing in crime called the statute of limitations. And generally speaking, most crimes they they don't last 30 years in terms of their statutes of limitations, especially when the evidence for the crime in question evaporates pretty quickly after the crime itself happens. And that's not even to bring into the discussion how hard it is to differentiate between consensual sex and rape on an evidence level, because physiologically it's very similar unless there's actual damage to your body involved. And even then, some people like to play rough, so that can also be a bit of a difficult thing to discern.
I mean, we're not getting into that discussion. That is a weird rabbit hole to go down, and I refuse to go down it.
Mm-hmm.
But as German Lopez has written for Vox, there are plenty of issues in our criminal justice system that prevent survivors of sexual violence from reporting. What?
Including male victims, question mark? Male victims of female perpetrators, question mark? Oh, I forget. We're not allowed to we're not allowed to discuss that half of the sexual assault issue ever because reasons. Because somehow misogyny. Not believing female accusers is misogyny, and ever acknowledging male victims is also apparently misogyny.
You, well, I'm not even gonna say cool your jets, MRA, because I know you're probably not going to.
Well, but it's also like all of this outrage and all of this,
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. It was what I wanted to bring up earlier, but I wanted to save it for when we actually get into talking about 16 Candles.
Okay, so yeah, let's move forward.
Yeah. Survivors who come forward are likely to be harassed and blamed for not keeping their mouths shut. They are likely to face hostile response from police officers, and the process of investigating the crime can be so traumatic for the survivor that it's sometimes called the second rape.
Oh, God.
And after all that, odds are low that the attacker is ever likely to face legal consequences for their actions. Okay, name one time that, I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm just saying, give us specifics of shit like that, really, really happening.
Yeah, those are very, very broad claims that imply a lot of civilization is fucked, and you need to substantiate those very, very broad claims. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Also, I just how do you think that women are not believed enough? Seriously. There's a reason why the archetype of women in civilization is the damsel who needs to be saved by the knight in shining armor. We prize women's victimhood often and far above men's entire lives. You want to know how I know? Because when the draft was a thing in America, it was primarily men who were drafted. And oftentimes in war propaganda, the way that you sold young men the idea of being drafted as a good thing was because we needed to protect our women from those evil men over there, depending on what kind of evil men we were talking about. But point being, women's victimhood is one of the most prized things in the entirety of human psychology and evolution. Seriously. And being questioned about the veracity of your claims is not being harassed by police. I'm not saying that no woman has ever been harassed by police, because some policemen are dicks, because some people are drawn to policing profession because they're abusive sadists who want to control people. That does happen. But in general, when you're investigating a crime, what happens is questioning, not harassment. Generally. Moving forward. Unless he went off.
Sorry, sorry, no, I something on my phone. I went mute for a sec. All right, moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah. It's worth noting another reason that Kavanaugh's accusers in particular wouldn't have been comfortable coming forward about what happened to them in the early 1980s. The way our culture thought about rape at the time was fundamentally different than it is now. But,
People have been lynched and tortured on the assumption that they were rapists for centuries, my darling.
Seriously, okay.
What version of history are you alluding to? Because once again, I can point you to the Middle Ages, where the fucking knight in shining armor and pure virtuous maiden come from, and they still had that shit. They still had the idea that women were these pure, fragile things that always needed to be protected and looked after. And once again, when lynchings happened, usually the lynchings in question were not primarily about race or gender or anything else. It was primarily based on the assumption that either you wanted to rape our women's or you disliked our women's in the case of gay men. Because originally the reasoning for homophobia wasn't, ew, they're feminine and like women, so we must hate them. It was, by being gay, you imply that you don't like women, therefore that's gross. And it means you hate women somehow. That was the rationale. People have been trying to protect women pretty much since the fucking Stone Age, at the very least. And judging by the animal kingdom and our closest cousins in the primate world, that applies even across species as well. Just try to threaten a gorilla female one of these days. I will get a large bucket of popcorn and we can see just how misogynistic male gorillas are in relation to their females. Moving forward.
Yeah. Thanks, by the way, you owe me a soda. I don't know, like, I might have to go through all the times I've called Jinx. How many sodas you owe me from the time we actually hang out?
Yes, you will.
Alright, in the 1980s, rape meant an attack from a stranger in a dark alley. I mean, more or less, that's still the same thing today, but it's...
Because that's usually what rape means. Rape from someone you know, someone you trust, is a lot harder to prove than rape from some sexed up megalomaniac in a dark alley. Because if your friend who you've known all your life overextends his boundaries and rapes you, then you're probably still at least going to be in a setting where it is believable that you might have consented. But if someone jumps out at you from a dark alley and holds a gun or a knife to your throat and says, we're going to have sex now or I'm going to stab you, that's a very obvious rape. There is almost no one on earth who would consent to sex under those circumstances, therefore making it much easier to prove that you didn't consent, because that's what rape is about. It's about what in legal scholarship they refer to as the mens rea or the guilty mind. That's what rape is about. Because when you get right down to it, unless someone is very, very violent and forceful about it, there really isn't physically that much difference between consensual sex and rape. The thing that makes rape awful, the thing that makes it something that we all should hate and fear, is the idea that we have been violated against our will. It's the violation of will, the violation of consent, that makes rape rape. But the problem is, unless we develop the ability to read people's minds and intentions, it's very hard to tell externally whether someone consented or not. Especially when playing hard to get and foreplay are things. But in cases of the violent guy jumping at you from a dark alley, it's fairly reasonable to conclude that you wouldn't consent in those circumstances. Therefore, it's much easier to prove that a crime actually occurred. But if you're sitting with your best friend of like 20 years and being all 40 and shit, and he goes too far and that qualifies as rape, that's a lot harder to prove, because in there are reasonable circumstances in which you may very well have consented to intercourse with that person. Therefore, we can't demonstrate whether the guilty mind aspect occurred. And that's the important part when we're talking about rape. Moving on.
Alright, not something that acquaintances did to each other at house parties where everyone knows each other. In 1982, it would have been difficult for women like Sweetwick and Christine Blaisley Ford to find the language to describe what had happened to them.
Yeah, because again, when you're in a sex party atmosphere where everyone is, willingly having sex with everybody else for the most part, it's very hard to tell that the person in question isn't consenting. Unless, of course, they say something and actually make it clear that they mean it and it isn't just a token refusal in the heat of the moment, which does happen. Because people playing hard to get can be a kind of flirtation. That's the other little wrinkle here. Sometimes refusal in a sexually flirtatious context doesn't mean no, it means prove to me that this is something you want badly enough. It means prove yourself. It's like the baby it's cold outside thing. Sometimes no really means convince me. And while that is a, gray area, if you like, it is also something that happens. Also, once again, if we're going to play this game, then one must wonder, why didn't the woman say anything before she engaged in what is obviously a high school orgy? And if she didn't want to have sex, then what is she doing in the context of a high school orgy?
Good question. I don't know. Okay, so moving forward.
Yep.
I completely reject that notion, said French on Twitter when pressed with the argument that the way our culture talked about rape in the 1980s was different than it is today. I was in high school in the 1980s. Gang rape was viewed as a horrible crime then too. Yeah, it's like Dolan said. Like it is hard to prove that you've been raped when it comes to people that you are close to, because
that's a context in which it might be reasonable for you to have consented. That doesn't mean you necessarily therefore did consent, but it does make it harder to prove that you didn't.
Yeah.
And when it comes to rape, what we're talking about is the idea that you didn't consent. It's the idea that you've been violated against your will. That something extremely intimate and extremely personal happened to you when you weren't ready, willing, and able to have it happen to you.
Yeah, and plus, this isn't regular rape. This is gang rape, which, let's be honest, is way worse than regular rape. I mean, I can't believe I just said that. Anyway.
Yeah, but it it's the difference of one person forcing themselves on you and 5 people dogpiling on you as you're writhing underneath them.
That certainly is an image. Thank you, Dalton.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that is why the gang variety is worse.
Yeah.
Because dealing with one person is one thing, dealing with 5 people is quite another.
Oh, God, I really do wish I could drink right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get that image out of my head. Okay. It's true that gang rape was considered a horrible crime in the 1980s, but in the abstract, when thought of as a crime perpetrated by a group of strangers on an innocent, sober, virginal, good girl victim in a dark alley. Motherfucker, Gang rape, as in a individual getting raped by a bunch of fucking people, okay, violently. All right, that's rape. In any fucking context, if anywhere, that is rape. How the fuck?
Yeah, okay.
Legitimately.
Once again, this is the issue. Because when it happens in a context where a reasonable person might be expected to consent anyway, it's harder to prove a violation has taken place. And it's that violation of agency, of will. What essentially makes rape bad is that an intimate part of your body, and by extension yourself, has been exposed against your will. Because we have a innate understanding of a certain level of sanctity and privacy when it comes to sexual matters. We understand what it's like, or we can empathize with what it's like to have that intimate, sacred part of ourselves be used against us, against our will. But the problem you're having here is it's much easier to prove if you're walking home at night and 5 strangers jump out at you from a dark alley than it is when you're sitting on a couch with 5 of your closest friends and things get a little heated and go too far. Because one of these is the result of human error and the failure to read signals, and the other is the result of a frankly brain damaged lack of empathy and animalistic fucking stupidity. Not saying that the other isn't bad, but when it comes to actually proving a violation took place, because it's the violation that is the crime, you need a higher standard of evidence. Because when you get right down to it, physically, there is no physiological difference between consensual sex and rape. The element that makes it rape is entirely mental and psychological, in the sense that what we care about is whether you consented or not. And you can't physiologically tell, unless there's actual damage, whether someone consented or not. And even then, again, some people like to play rough and some people are sadomasochists. So even if there's physical damage, it might just be that the slot was a little bit too small for the vehicle, if you take my meaning. Moving forward. Unless Brainstormer left again.
Back. For the record, that was fucking gross. What you just said there.
Yeah, I know, but I'm having to reason with very, very stupid people, and they won't understand what I'm saying unless I'm very explicit about it.
I had to take a walk because that legitimately angered me. What was said there. Like I legitimately had to just take a lap.
Yeah, I can understand.
I do think we will have. I'll be honest, I am tired, and this is legitimately pissing me off to the point where I think I might actually break something on stream.
Yeah, we should save the next article for next time and switch to the Smasher Pass once this is over.
Yeah, we need that, man. Let's finish this part and then yeah. So we're the rest of this article and the next article we'll save for next week as to kind of like end. Just, I'm sorry, folks. This is legitimately just.
Yeah, this is a very heavy subject, and these people are being very, 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 very fucking stupid about this very, very heavy subject. So,
yeah.
And it's forcing me to talk about things that I'd honestly rather not talk about that much, in order to clarify how fucking disingenuous and stupid this would be.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's. But it's simply not the case that the mainstream culture at large in the 80s had the same ideas we do today about sexual assault, especially when it's perpetrated by people who know each other at parties around alcohol.
Yes, because it's difficult to prove a violation of a person's free will in those cases. When the people know each other, when it's in an ostensibly comfortable setting, it becomes harder to prove that an actual violation took place, and it's the violation that makes it the bad thing.
But I would also like to uh, what I said many times with this kind of stuff, case by case scenario. That it really just like
Yeah, that doesn't mean that such a thing cannot happen, but when it comes to proving a crime has taken place, we can't soften the standards for what constitutes a crime and what doesn't because it's inconvenient.
yeah,
Because otherwise, we might accidentally accuse someone who didn't do a terrible thing of doing a terrible thing. And sometimes, especially with crimes as big and important as this kind of thing, people don't react well when they find out that someone in their community has done a terrible thing.
mhm.
This is why lynchings happen, because some people get it in their heads that the legal system doesn't make the perpetrator of these crimes suffer enough, so we need to take it into our own hands and make them suffer more. And then you end up hanging someone from a fucking streetlight or a tree
Okay,
because they deserved it somehow.
moving forward.
Moving forward.
We can tell that it's not the case because there are many beloved iconic movies made in the 1980s that built entire comedic subplots over what we can better recognize today as rape scenes. And in those movies, rape wasn't a horrible crime, it was supposed to be funny.
It's because you keep changing the definition and you don't understand how changing the definition changes the context in which people react to the word. Things that you consider sexual assault may not be sexual assault, and things that someone else considers sexual assault may not be sexual assault, depending upon the context, okay, and the actual characterization and world building. If you're going to just ignore any concept of characterization and world building in these contexts, then you cannot make a genuine argument for this. Fuck off.
Hmm.
You can't just change the word and expect people's reaction to the word to be the same. Moving on.
Yeah, so that's where we're going to end the article because there's a next, like, I believe that's all set up for the rest of the article, honestly.
Yeah, they did. Fuck, it took them a long time to even get to the 16 candles thing.
So I don't know how to fucking talk. Get to the point. Anyway, yeah, so we're moving on to something a little more positive, just because we fucking need it.
Yeah.
Oh, bad city stuff. The ultimate crossover would be Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Twin Peaks, and Peaky Blinders. It would be called The Sweet Life of Twin Peaky Blinders.
I don't. How would that even? I can't imagine that.
That sounds fucking awesome, though.
It does. It does. I just my brain, my mind boggles at the notion of
I
that.
can catch up on Peaky Blinders because I've only seen like the first episode.
I just thought of something in the vein of Sweet Life crossing over with Twin Peaks. What about a version of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody set at the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, where Mr. Mosby is Dick Halloran?
I don't know who that is. To be honest, I've never seen Twin Peaks.
Yeah, but have you seen The Shining?
Not really.
Okay, well, then you need to read the book of The Shining, and then it will make more sense. The movie is less good than the book, because
What do you say?
anyway, smash or pass.
Yeah. So we're gonna be doing our smash or pass list for comic book characters this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me get my coin out so I can. Where did I put the quarter? Oh, okay. Okay. So heads or tails, Dalton?
Heads.
Okay. I guess I'm going first because it landed on tails.
Mm.
All right. So share. So my first pick is Batgirl. Well, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl from White Knight.
Hmm.
Because it's like really the only Barbara Gordon thing I've read in comics.
Hmm.
So, yeah. The reason why I picked her was, well, Barbara Gordon in general is, I think, a really cool character that doesn't get enough love recently in these years.
Hmm.
Don't get me started on the fucking hipster costume they gave her for so long.
Yeah, it's just not.
But I like her because she hold on, I was thinking about this, but I should have probably wrote a script for each character. But anyway, yeah, I like her because, well, for one thing, she's kind of like Dick Grayson when he was like Robin. She's kind of like that fun, bombastic color into the darkness of Gotham for Batman's world.
Mm-hmm.
Also incredibly smart, and plus, she never lets anything get her down, including getting paralyzed by the Joker.
Yep, which admittedly is impressive.
Yeah. Also, the fact that she, and again, like in White Knight, she's kind of like the heart slash voice of reason for Batman when Alfred is kind of out of commission. Where she
Mm-hmm.
tries to be, she's not perfect by any means, but you know, she tries her best, and I respect I respect characters who always try more often than they succeed.
Hmm.
So yeah, plus redhead, so
True.
yeah, so yeah. First pick, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon.
I honestly don't know because I don't have enough of a connection to Batgirl to really say one way or the other. So I think I will pass on Batgirl.
All right. Um. Okay, so let's move on to your first pick. Oh, by the way, technically he has 11. Dalton has 11.
Yeah,
Smash.
because
You'll see in a reason. You'll see in a second, folks.
yeah. Mm,
For the record, I got individual pictures for them. So,
mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh, Bat City stuff. Batgirl of Burnside books. First couple volumes are good. Made Barbara Gordon my favorite character because she wasn't a copycat of Batman and that doing her own thing. I could see it being done as a really good indie film. I probably have to check those out then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I got individual pictures of them, so I'm starting with the big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is Dawn's Smash or Pass.
Yeah.
Hulkling.
Yeah. Um, I mean, he's so gentle and sweet with Wiccan, and he is basically the superhero equivalent of the big, burly, but sensitive and overprotective jock character that I like. So I can't go wrong with Hulkling. And I mean, uh And the surprise that's coming up is that when I listed my top 10, I listed Hulkling and Wiccan in the same slot because honestly, I wouldn't dream of breaking them up ever, as selfish and as much of an asshole as I might be, because they are adorable together. So you know what? Fuck it, threesome, or in this case, I guess throuple, because um, I was thinking about this last week, similar with Gwen and Kevin kind of going together as a package deal for that list. I don't know if I would mind being in a three-way couple with Wiccan, even though he's not necessarily my type, because in addition to getting my burly, overprotective jock character in the form of Hulkling, I would also get somebody that I could I could shoot the shit over magic with Wiccan, and that would be cool too. Um, and I do think that Hulkling could definitely handle both of us, so it's not like that would be a problem. And everyone could. It would just be a three-way win situation. I could teach Wiccan things that he doesn't understand about magic. I'd have Hulkling there to be the adorable overprotective jock, and it would just be a win-win for everybody. Yay.
Right. Okay, so well, we'll get to Wiccan in a sec, but let's move on to my other pick.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, folks, it was harder for me, I think. Well, I mean, both of us had a really hard time trying to find characters from the comics for us.
Mm-hmm.
It was harder because I had to make sure I had to go out of my way to not get the most obvious ones, the ones that are so easily picked.
Yeah, I tried my darndest to stick to obscure ones, but I ended up kind of caving a little bit.
It's extremely hard. Like, legitimately, it's so hard because, like, you get set. It's just there's so much more prominence with like the mainstays, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying like mine are obscure characters. I just found characters that I think honestly would make more sense for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, speaking of which, let me share. Okay. So Atom Eve from Invincible, Robert Kirkman's Invincible. She's kind of the main love interest of Mark Grayson, aka Invincible, from Invincible. She's an interesting character, and I'm also bringing this up because the animated show is coming to Amazon Prime very soon.
Mm-hmm.
She's a fun character because, like, for one thing, she has the power to basically do anything, like change things to whatever she wants.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also like just a fascinating character. Like, in like 140 issues, she grows and changes to such a unique personality. Like, for one thing, at the beginning of the series, she's not dating like Invincible, obviously. She's dating this douchebag on a Teen Titans ripoff called the Teen Team, called Rexplode. She gets cheated on by the guy. She goes, yeah. It's just so. She's just like a loving, caring person, but also is like does not take shit from anyone. And I respect the hell out of that. Plus, superhero, like, always like a go-to for me. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, she grows a lot in the series, like 144 issues, I believe. I need to collect all the volumes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, she's just a really cool character. And again, redhead. That might say something about me or might not. I don't know. But
I can't really fault you when it comes to girls. I like redheads too, so can't really throw that stone without breaking my own glass house. So
yeah. But again, like I just think she's a really cool character. Like for the record, yeah, when that series comes out, like you and I have to review that at some point.
yeah.
I think you'd like it even if you haven't read the comics, which I would also recommend to you to read the comics. That's the first time I've done that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, obviously I'm smashing. You probably, I'm assuming, passing because you don't have enough knowledge of the character to really.
Yeah, it's not because I don't find her attractive. It's just I don't have enough point of reference.
Yeah,
So pass.
yeah, that's fair. Okay. So let's see. Moving to your next guy, who is part of a couple that you mentioned previously, but you can get more in depth with this one.
Yeah. Wiccan.
Wiccan. Yeah.
I mean, I think in Wiccan's case, I'd treat him probably more like a brother than a significant other necessarily. But like I said, I don't want to break up Wiccan and Hulkling because Wiccan has reality warping capabilities and Hulkling is super strong, so either of them could probably break me in a myriad of ways if I broke them up, and their love is too pure for this world, so I'm not messing with it. So throuple it is. Um, I feel like me and Wiccan would get involved in like lengthy, like magical logistics conversation, and Hawkling would just kind of be sitting there quietly, like trying to smile and nod, as we were geeking out about various magic things, and that would also be kind of adorable. I imagine though, because Hulkling is big enough to handle both of us. I imagine us both just laying on his chest while we're cuddling, and that would be very cute. So yeah, Wiccan is here mostly because I don't want to break up Hulkling and Wiccan, and I get a magic bro out of it, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah. I decided to wait before I said Smash Pass because, like, again, like they're a couple, and you would kind of have them as a couple. So, yeah, passing. Not really. I mean, yeah, it is. Again, like I'm straight and all, so
yeah,
obviously, but also like again, like you said, I don't want to. I can't. I don't want to pick between the two or like split them up accidentally.
I don't. As adorable as Hulkling is, I don't want to ruin one of the greatest love stories in comics. And yes, I do consider Hulkling and Wiccan to be one of the greatest love stories in comics. Don't fucking get me. So yeah, I'd gladly take both. I can't decide on an either or, so I will instead decide on an and. I will take both and get a beautiful sweetheart overprotective jock and somebody I can talk shop magic with and happy endings all around.
Mm-hmm. I again like passing just for your similar reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. Their screen. Application window. Black Cat.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Legitimately, this is not a relationship I see working out for me. Legitimately, this would be a one-night stand. This would just be a smash.
Yeah, this one would be dangerous, and if she ever hurt you, I'd kill her.
No, I mean, like, she's fun and all, but again, like, she's too addicted to that kind of high risk crime life that
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she'd be able to see the potential of leaving that life for any type of normalcy. Because
No.
obviously, and like she loves Spider-Man and not Peter Parker. So
Yeah.
in the comics, so yeah, this would just again legitimately just be just a smash and nothing else. But I do like
Mm-hmm.
her because again, it's like the Batman and Catwoman thing with like the whole it's thrilling, it's fun, and again, like I don't really see myself doing this like all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's again, she's also just hot, and the whole femme fatale thing, I can't deny is attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So smash. Dom?
I give her a go. I think I'm like you in the sense that I wouldn't want it to be anything more than just a one night thing. Um, and if she ever hurt you, I'd kill her. Because fuck that bitch. Bros before hoes and so on.
Yeah,
Um,
Bad City stuff. And y'all's number one pick is Granny Goodness. Lol.
mm,
She's a bit much for me and also kind of too old. Like I mean, granted, I had Lin Bei Fong on my last.
yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't I wouldn't even bother with her, honestly.
She's too crazy, and you know the old adage.
Yeah. Do not stick it or get stuck by it in crazy.
Yeah. So for the record, it's nope. Nuh-uh. I'm not even gonna picture what that would be like. That's actually just horrifying.
Hmm.
All right, so let's move on to yours. Your number three, or I guess two, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Because when I listed these, I considered Hulkman and Wick in one slot, and Brainstormer separated them. So yeah. So my number two.
Well, to be fair, I thought that's what you meant by the list, but yeah, never
Yeah.
mind. All right, your third, well, yeah, your second pick, I guess, is Colossus.
I mean, this isn't complicated. He's super super sweet, super super overprotective, and huge, muscle bound, and super strong. I'm really not that complicated. He's like 6'9" or actually I don't even know how tall Colossus is. It varies depending on the story, I think. Um, but he's super gentle and overprotective and sweet. So yep, I will I will be taking that, comrade. Da.
Pass. But yeah, again, like the whole straight thing, that's just kind of going to be my go-to for this. But also, I think he'd be too much for me.
I I I For you, I don't know, because you're a lot sturdier than I am, but I know he'd be too much for me, and that's kind of the point.
Dude, he's
Um,
a giant metal man. He's too much for anyone. That's the thing.
well, he doesn't have to be metal all the time. Not that I would necessarily mind.
Uh,
Um,
Passing, just again, basic. Just I'm a straight dude, so
yeah, I think of all the versions of him I like Unstoppable Colossus the best because that's the version of him that's empowered by Sidorak because he has the gem that gives uh Juggernaut his powers, and he is even more unstoppable than usual. Which,
mhm.
again, yes, please, I will take that gladly, comrade. Da.
Okay. Bad City stuff. Betty or Veronica are from Life with Archie, where they are adults and Archie's married to both of them in two separate timelines. I don't know enough about Archie's comics to really make a statement on it, to make a decision.
Honestly, in my mind, the sane conclusion there is just have a throuple. If you can't decide between both of them and they have no problem with each other, then why not just be
To be fair,
polyamorous?
I hate the whole concept of a love triangle in general. So,
Well, but because of the conflict, it's different if it's a relationship between two people. It's not really a love triangle. It's just a relationship that has three people in it.
But still, I'm not well versed in Archie comics with the characters to really make a decision.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Betty and Veronica to really say so, but I imagine they don't really have a problem with each other themselves. So my solution would just be he could have both of them. It's fine.
Right. Okay. So moving on to mine. Right.
Yep.
Okay. So this is one, and for you '90s Image Comics fanboys, you'll like this one. Voodoo from Wildcats. Jim Lee's Wildcats. I know I have limited amount of information on this character because I only have like the first volume of like the first comics that were made by Jim Lee that I got off like discount off a rack in my comic shop. If I remember correctly, she is. Well, I mean, obviously with Jim Lee's art and all, just physical attraction alone would make. But I think she's like some type of psychic as well. Also, her former occupation was exotic dancer. So,
well, damn. That would be fun.
yeah. But no, like she's really cool. She's actually a really cool character. I think she was in the Wildcats Spawn crossover comic that I think I recommended like way back in our early days of the podcast.
I believe you did.
Yeah. So I really got to read those again. Just because it's been so long. Bad City Stuff. Clark and Bruce and Alfred asked, "Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?" I don't get it.
I think he's implying a gay relationship between Batman and Superman, and Alfred being all paternal and being like, "Are you guys sure you won't need you won't need some nourishment in order to refuel after the presumably quite epic sexcapades that will be involved there?"
I mean, they kind of already did that with Apollo and Midnighter with the Authority. So, but yeah, legitimately, this actually might be the only one that I picked that was just physical. And I feel bad, but yeah, this might be actually the only character that I actually just thought with my dick to pick. No, I'm employing Alfred wants to make a sandwich with himself and Clark and Bruce on the outside with him in the middle.
Oh,
That's
threesome. That would.
That's I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, it is a little bit weird because Alfred is
Like a
Bruce's surrogate father.
Yeah. Also, he's like kind of super old.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I got nothing for that. I really don't.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Although I will admit, Dawn's next one kind of surprised me. Oh, she's like, I didn't know you knew this guy.
Hmm.
I only know this guy because of the trading card that the art I picked is based off of.
Ah.
Yeah, because that's a funny story. Because I bought like some Marvel trading cards. Oh, by the way, Strong Guy from X Factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know those Marvel masterpieces trading cards.
Yeah.
I bought some in like a yard sale years ago, like when I was like 2000, almost 10, a decade ago.
Hmm.
Lost them, by the way, like a year later.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know I fucked up on that one. They were so cool. I should have kept them.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no. Would you like to explain why?
Well, I mean, it's very similar to the other picks, and then there's some specific things. I mean, he's giant and hyper strong and muscular, um and he's also like as gentle as he could conceivably be, but also according to his character, he's in constant pain, and there's a part of me that just wants to massage his pain away, and that would be kind of my role in the relationship would be to do everything I could to minimize his pain and get him to focus on something else because he's such a big overprotective sweetheart, and people like that shouldn't be in pain ever. Not if I have anything to say about it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I was legitimately surprised that you had him on your list because he is. I would argue that he's considered kind of an obscure character.
Yeah, he's a bit niche.
Yeah, because he has been. Dude hasn't been around in comics. I mean, like he's had cameo roles and stuff lately, but
Yeah, but he hasn't shown up a lot in much.
yeah,
But yeah, he's like what 8 feet tall and built like a brick shit house. So and he's gentle and also in constant pain, which kind of triggers my need to help people and make sure people I love are safe. So yeah, strong guy Eddie.
okay. Yeah. Passing, just
Because you don't swing that way.
yeah. Also, I don't really. Oh, you wrote something else. Alfred and Bruce can tell Aunt Harriet in the middle of the night that she's a. We were just going fishing, or we were going skeet shooting. Just kidding. I'll stop. You have a
Well
weird.
played.
You have a weird mind, Bat City. That's coming
Well,
from me.
well played, sir. Well
Yeah.
played.
Yeah. Well played. Anyway, okay. My turn. And honestly, don't I got like this is I'm asking like directly. Does this choice surprise you?
Hmm.
Hold on. Mystique.
No, no, it doesn't.
I gotta ask why, because I'm very curious.
Because I mean, she can literally be anyone you want her to be, and
Ironically,
also,
it's not even the shape shifting stuff that attracts me to her. I legitimately like her base form.
yeah, and also the fact that she's a little bit damaged because that seems to be one of your kinks is tough girls who are also a little bit damaged and therefore need help.
Yeah. Plus, she's like legitimately, yeah. No, it's similar to Azula. Like, I want to help her, and like, I don't think she's necessarily a bad person, even though in the comics she originally was just a villain through and through.
Yeah.
Um, but she's a survivor, and I can understand that being a mutant and all.
Hmm.
But
I think it's a key. I think it's a key feature of Mystique. The speech she gives in
the '90s X-Men series, yeah.
well, but also X2 when she's talking to Nightcrawler, and he's like, "I envy you because you can look like anyone. Why would you choose to look different?" And her response is, "Because we shouldn't have to."
Right. But I also think she's kind of afraid of having the responsibilities that she should have had as like a mother and stuff to like Nightcrawler and Rogue. I do think she has a better relationship with Rogue than she does with Nightcrawler. And knowing me, I'd probably try and like sit them down and have like family counseling or something.
Oh, you and your adorable attempts to fix people.
It's called empathy, so
And you're just adorable.
but
It's the thing.
yeah, no, she's badass and I respect that.
Hmm.
Although I do think she tried to kill me the first few times we meet.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone would call that flirting. Actually, I'd call that flirting.
yeah. That doesn't surprise me. I think I would agree on this one. Smash.
Yeah.
Because
So
she does have quite a mystique about her that I'm ching. And the whole exotic, dangerous thing is very attractive in women. So
I want to fucking strangle you, you bastard.
I I know. Um, it was inevitable, and you know it was inevitable.
I know, but god damn it.
Love you too.
Yeah. All right. I will admit that Dalton's next one was extremely hard to find a picture of, especially in, like comics.
Hmm.
All right, so this is from Archie Comics. Moose Mason. Give you 10 guesses. No, I'll give you 3 guesses on why I don't pick this guy.
Because even amongst the Archie continuity, he's supposed to be the star athlete. And considering how many star athletes there are in the Archie universe, that's saying something. And also, apparently he's very, very like ridiculously overprotective of anyone he's with. Because the one way to make him mad is to imply that you're hitting on his girl. So if I was with him, that would get transferred onto me, and there's part of me that likes the idea of someone loving me so much and feeling so insecure about being with me that they'd be willing to punch the shit out of anyone who he thought was gonna take me away from him. So yeah,
Yep.
I I like the idea of being special to someone I find special. So yeah, there's that.
Moose is also
Someone
bisexual, says Bat City Stuff. Oh, I did not know
hmm?
that. Well, Bat City Stuff says Moose is also bisexual.
I didn't know that either, but this makes everything so much easier now. Because normally I just kind of have to imagine an alternate universe where the character's identical, but also swings the other way, and now I don't have to, which is amazingly convenient. Yay.
Yeah. Legitimately, when I typed in Moose Mason, the Riverdale version came up.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's cute in his Riverdale incarnation too, but I wish he was a little bit. I wish the TV version was a little bit bigger because I'm finding this in a lot of cases with um teen like shows and stuff lately. For some reason, they don't like actually casting hot people anymore, and it annoys me.
um, I will say, uh, well, my personal experience because I've known a few jocks. A lot of like football players, for some reason, like I knew some that were big, right? But a lot of them I knew were kind of very lean.
Hmm.
So I don't know. That could be portraying actual real high school footballers, but I don't. Not like I'm probably not. Just
Hmm.
Anyway, Pass just because. Oh yeah, just pass. You know, like again,
Because straight. Yeah.
new season of Riverdale is 7 years in the future, so all of them are adults.
Hmm.
To be fair, I don't really care for Riverdale.
Yeah, it's not my thing either. I just knew that because the Archie characters show up there had to be a version of Moose as well, and I looked him up, and he's he's not as cute as he was in the comics because apparently whoever's in charge of the Archieverse casting directing doesn't like actually casting hot guys.
I'd say let it go, but I know you won't.
Or worse, I'd start singing "Let It Go."
Now I really want to strangle you.
I'm not going to yet, but just in future when you use that phrase, do keep in mind where my brain immediately goes.
I know. Anyway, yeah, pass. You smashing, I assume.
Yes, so much smashing,
Yeah.
and probably accidentally flirting with other people just to see how far he'll go to prove himself to me.
All right. Okay.
Which is a bit of a dick move, but I can't help it. I like the idea of someone finding me that desirable.
I think this season's going to be the crossover with Sabrina. So Bat City stuff. Didn't they already do a crossover?
With Sabrina and Riverdale? No.
Just when I saw something. Anyway,
There was an episode where they referenced Riverdale, but it was not really a crossover. It was just a reference.
well, no, I thought on Riverdale Sabrina was in an episode.
No.
Just sworn I. To be fair, I don't. Again, like I don't really pay attention. So it's just it's a really it just seems like such a parody of like those teen drama shows like Degrassi and stuff, but not a good parody.
Yeah. Degrassi is much better than Riverdale.
I mean, I've seen like the more recent seasons. Granted, that was a few years ago.
Yeah, and given that we're probably going to be doing live action next week, guys, keep Degrassi in mind because you might see a couple of characters from that on my list.
God, that's going to be so hard for me. All right. Yeah. So moving on to my Smash Pass. Well, number 6 Smash Pass. Electra. Fun. No,
Yeah,
fun. It's hard. It's hard to find pictures of Electra, like comic art. Yeah, I figured it wouldn't surprise you.
Yeah, no, I remain thoroughly unsurprised. Dangerous, hot, damaged. So, yep.
Well, also, I don't know. Anti-hero thing. I kind of like. I think I have a thing for anti-heroes. To be honest.
Because you like them a little naughty, but not so naughty that you couldn't fix them.
It's not really about fixing. It's more just helping them find a better place of peace of mind. But yeah, no, the whole sexy anti-hero femme fatale thing is hot. I'm not even gonna front.
Yeah, and in addition to falling for Karen Murphy when you get to Dresden Files, I expect you'll also probably fall for Justine sooner or later. You'll know who that is later.
I figured. Okay, so Bat City stuff. Oh, right. Smash. Go.
Yeah, probably. I'd smash too.
She would break you into. Granted, that can be said about anyone on a Smash Pass list.
That you're acting as though that isn't exactly what I'm hoping for.
I'm just looking at you right now. Like,
Look, no one who I'd actually find attractive is going to be able to avoid breaking me in some way or other. The question is whether they break me out of anger or they break me out of love. And as long as they're breaking me out of love, I don't mind. Because
I
I know I'm made of glass. The choice isn't never being broken, the choice is what breaks you. And being broken by love is not something that I find to be a particularly negative thing. If I
okay.
have to if I have to commit suicide, suicide by bear hug makes so much more sense than any other method.
Look, don't commit suicide in the first place.
Well, again, when you're made of glass, you don't really get to choose when you're broken. You just
Anyway,
get to
I can kind
choose
of
what breaks you.
respect that to a lesser extreme, but okay. There's no more high school drama anymore. Now it's focused on the mystery and the horror elements with the corny dialogue of Archie comics.
Yeah, which honestly I like better than the whole stereotypical high school drama thing.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Share. Yeah. Moving to yours. Granted, I am almost certainly the live action version of this character is going to be on next week's list. Like, I'd be willing to put money on it if I wasn't broke.
You're probably not wrong.
Captain America, Steve Rogers. I feel like that distinction needs to be made.
It would be amazing if it didn't have to be, but stupid make everything a mantle approach to everything. But anyway,
Never mind. That's a discussion for a different time.
yeah. I mean, do I even need to explain this one? It's Captain freaking America, and his adorably gentle sweetness is basically at this point a matter of public record. Um, so yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work out with Bucky, give me a call, Steve.
Or any of the female characters that he's been involved with, like Black Widow.
Or yeah, or Peggy, or whoever. But point being, I mean, can anyone honestly, even people who are straight, have to concede that if they ever could be persuaded to swing the other way, this, I mean, would you honestly tell him no? Could you honestly bring yourself to tell this teddy bear of a human being no ever? Because I know I couldn't.
I could. Also, I like to say, he's all right.
I I am genuinely amazed that anyone was able to do that.
I mean, like, I respect Captain America, like, as a fellow American and stuff, but he's a little too star spangled for my taste.
I mean, sure, but it's one of those. It's Captain America. You gotta know what you're getting, kind of thing.
No, I get it. It's just like, again, like, he's kind of not my type. Like, if you,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, Cap Cap is definitely on my smash list, and like I said, Cap. If it doesn't work out with Peggy, if it doesn't work out with Natasha, and it doesn't work out with Bucky, give me a call.
Or Sharon, which
Or yeah, or Sharon, which is just awkward because
in game.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, but point being, if you're ever in my sector of the multiverse, there, Cap, you give me a call.
Yeah.
We'll have fun.
Batsy Steph, what do you do if you like Fred and you like Velma, but they don't like you because they're not compatible? I'd go with Velma. Wait, Velma?
It depends on the version of Fred, I think. Most versions of Fred I wouldn't consider attractive, but if we're talking about the Robbie Amell version, the stereotypical high school jock version, then yeah, Fred.
Wait, Velma's a lesbian?
She's implied to be, yeah, kind of.
Huh.
I've always kind of seen her as bi, but that's just my headcanon.
Honestly, I never really considered sexualities from those characters. I got nothing. Like, I mean, to be fair, they're not really. None of them are really my type, like the Scooby Gang.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hex Girl.
Except for maybe the version of Daphne who is Sarah Michelle Gellar and knows karate and kung fu and shit.
Still probably no, actually.
That's a little bit surprising.
And I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, I never really felt anything like watching those movies. No crush or anything. I do like Sarah Michelle Gellar, obviously, like Buffy and stuff, but
yeah. I was gonna say I'd be a little bit surprised if we don't see Buffy on your live action list next week.
I'm gonna have to look. Well, she might not be actually, but there's gonna be someone from the Buffyverse. I know that. Anyway, there was a new HBO Max original adult animated comedy spinoff with Velma. Storyline is she deals with the ups and downs of high school and her sexuality, all while there's a serial killer hell bent on going after all the popular kids.
Wait, is that really a thing?
I'll be honest, that does sound kind of stupid.
I didn't realize that was a thing. I'm gonna have to look at that. I'm gonna have to look that up now.
Yeah.
If that is indeed a thing, anyway.
Anyway, that was a weird sidebar. Okay, so moving on to my next one.
Mm-hmm.
My number 7. Okay. Again, this should be no shock to anyone. Domino.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I'm not like well versed in this character. Like I've seen her in like some cartoons and I've read a few comics with her in it. She seems like a really cool character, and I like her mutant ability.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just so out there.
Yeah. I guess we could definitely say that if you were with Domino, you would definitely be a lucky bastard. But ching.
I mean, yeah. Also, like again, like she is like a badass assassin, femme fatale. Wow, I really do have a type.
You do.
Plus, I think she could teach me a few things, and honestly, I probably would be the kind of emotional rock for her if she had those moments of emotional vulnerability.
Aw. You are so adorable.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, like obviously, I'm smashing. Don't.
Yeah, I'd give her a try.
Yeah. That's a stuff. I have faith in Hanna-Barbera because all the adult-oriented shows made by Hanna-Barbera have a good track record for being good. Harvey Birdman and Space Ghost Coast to Coast but with an overarching mystery that plays out throughout the whole season. You forgot Venture Brothers. No, wait, is that Hanna-Barbera?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, that show shit. Why the fuck was that show canceled?
Because people are stupid and they don't know what they have.
Oh yeah, it was part of Hanna-Barbera.
Hmm.
I really need to get like the DVDs of that show and just like binge the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, Domino, I'm smashing, Don's smashing. Moving on to his next pick, which again, like legitimately, this is just playing the type. Although he is significantly smarter than the others, I believe. The Thing.
I mean, this really isn't complicated. He's strong, he's gentle, he's huge, and he can press a fucking tank with one hand. So I'm
He's significantly smarter than the other characters that you've picked. I mean, no offense to like Wiccan and Hulkling or America. It's just the others have been kind of more very much jock types.
yeah, and so is Ben because he got into college on a football scholarship or something, but
But he's
I
also
I mean he can keep pace with Reed Richards, which isn't an insignificant thing.
yeah.
And in all honesty, I think my main goal for dating the Thing would be to prove to him that he's not as hideous and ugly as he thinks, because his alleged ugliness is just having stone skin, and it enables him to curl a tank. So I'm not complaining. I that is one rock slide I would definitely want to be buried in, as it were. Plus, it bothers me whenever beautiful people and amazing people think of themselves as ugly. So yeah, I would definitely be I would definitely be clobbering the Thing, but I'm ching.
Um, I'd say passing just because again, like he would break me and I don't want to be broken, like physically. I mean, like I'd hang out with him and honestly be like I'd try to be his best friend.
Mm.
But it's just again, like it's just because I don't swing that way. And also, like he has a really cool girlfriend who is blind and sees him for him.
Yeah.
Um, I forget her name, but she's a cool character, and I like their relationship a lot.
Mm. That would probably be one of the situations of like I wouldn't try to break up them up. I just want to be in a throuple.
Yeah. So passing, don't you be?
I would be in this case clobbering, I think. But I'm ching.
All right.
I I was gonna say, am I getting the look?
No, just a disappointed sigh.
the look of abject disappointment.
I'm not mad anymore. I'm done being mad at you for the puns. I'm just severely disappointed in them.
I know.
Mindy Kaling from The Office is writing the show. I don't know who that is.
Oh, I know who that is. Neat.
Hmm.
She's one of the writers for the Office.
I kind of guessed that.
That could work pretty well actually.
Hmm.
I think.
All right. So my next my number 8 for my Smash Pass list. Vixen.
Yeah, that I shouldn't be surprised.
Badass good girl. To borrow kind of a phrase from Cinema Wins,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good channel. I recommend watching. It gets a little. It's similar to Cinema Sins, but it's more positive. It can get stupid sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. They recently did a couple videos on Tenet.
Which I still haven't watched. I need to go watch those.
It's not a bad movie. But yeah.
No, I've seen Tenet. I just haven't seen the CinemaSins or Wins videos.
Yeah, they broke it down into 3 parts actually. So.
Wow, he must have had a lot to say.
Not really. Just more. It's time reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ironically, they're both 20 minutes long, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I will admit, the way I know Vixen more is from Justice League cartoon when she dated Jon Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm regretting not putting her in my last week's Smash Pass list.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know this character. I've watched her. I've done some research on her myself.
Speaking of characters that should have gone on last week's Smash Pass list, I'm gonna have to add Soren from the Dragon Prince to my list from last week. I had not seen the Dragon Prince until this past week after Brainstormer finally after Brainstormer had pestered me about it for a long time. But yeah, Soren is cute beyond all reckoning, so Soren goes on my Smash list from last week.
Is it also because he's kind of like a dumb jock trope or archetype?
Well, yes, and also when he was apologizing to Callum and gave him the bear hug, that clinched it because it's like that's one of my biggest kinks is bear hugs.
But yeah, I like Vixen because she is again like she's at least she is a fashion model / designer.
Yeah.
Like a pretty big one too. So she's creative, which is always a plus for me.
Mm-hmm.
Badass again, like being a superhero as well, like part-time superhero, part-time fashion designer. Which for fuck's sake, why can't we get like? Oh my god! I just that part-time superhero, part-time fashion designer. Keep that in mind for my next one. But yeah, no, I like. She's just also like fun, and I think that's kind of what I like with a lot of characters with it that I have picked is that they're fun to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of them.
Yeah.
She's not like super dark or anything, like personality wise.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like she is tough. She doesn't take no shit. And if anyone's seen Batman: The Brave and the Bold,
Yeah.
her relationship with Beast,
yeah,
is remarkably cute and just downright wholesome. And I just kind of I think I'm similar to Beast personality wise, kind of. That I think she and I could get along.
I mean, you're not wrong. I could see you. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, smashing. Yeah.
I'd have to agree with you here. She's very attractive. So yeah.
Well, I mean, she's called Vixen, so
yeah, it is not false advertising.
Ironically, there is a character that I've named that has the title of Vixen. Well, it's a longer title, but Vixen is in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a nod to her, to Vixen.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny because it's never mind. Don knows what I'm talking about though because I mentioned that character before.
Yep.
So it's kind of funny that. Never mind. It's for different. It's for off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh hey Ed, we're actually kind of at the end, close to the end of our stream.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm smashing Vixen. I smash. Stone smash. Right.
Yes.
All right. So let's move on to your next one, which would be. Miss Your Mother.
I mean,
This is probably the weirder one. Like this is the weirdest one of your list, and that's saying something.
yeah, I mean, he's in a gay relationship with the brain, and my brain is the most worthwhile part of me. So, yeah, and also giant ape, also French, which I don't actually. I actually kind of like people who can speak multiple languages. So, yeah, that actually adds something. And no, it doesn't make any difference to me that he's an ape, because he's an intelligent ape. And when you get right down to it, what are humans but intelligent hairless apes?
Right. Well, he's evil, so that's a deal breaker for me, and also an ape. So, kind of have to pass on this. Also, again, like the whole, I'm straight, so.
Yeah. I I don't really know how much of his evil is because of him or because he's in a relationship with the brain. So
They both started the Brotherhood of Evil, so like together. So
yeah, and also I don't know what they define as evil. So it depends.
I mean, to be fair, they run against the Doom Patrol, so they're really so the Brotherhood of Evil is really weird. So,
mhm.
oh shit, got my pen. Yeah, so again, like I passed just on the evil thing alone. Right? I'm not.
Yeah, I'm less picky as long as he didn't do anything evil to me or was on my side, then I don't really care.
Ed Brewer, I try to keep it within the species at least. Even
Yeah,
his
I'm not that picky. If they're intelligent enough to be in a relationship with me and they fulfill my criteria of characters that I want to be in a relationship with, I don't care.
you're gonna get a kick out of the next few picks he has, but we're not there yet.
Hmm.
I can't believe you picked those two, man.
I
But yeah, pass, don't smashing. All right. What was? Let me. So this is one that. Yeah. Okay. So my one is kind of a newer character it's been around for the last like 2 or so years.
hmm
From some guys we know, Carly Vanders, aka Common America.
created by Tim Lin and Mark Reedy, friends of the channel.
Yep. Speaking of which, we really gotta get them on at some point. Like try and get them on again.
We do. If for no other reason than I can put a bug in their error about giving my self-insert character a spin-off.
Yeah. But yeah, I like this guy. Also to bring up back with Vixen, Harley Vanders is part-time superhero, part-time fashion designer, all around awesome lady.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, she's I mean, yeah, again, like the whole, she is hot. I'm not gonna deny that.
Yeah, I
But also
can't
just
disagree with you.
yeah, she's also like just a really good person, and I respect that. and like she actually might be one of the very her and Vixen and Adam. Well, maybe not Adam and Eve. I think are like legitimately the only real heroes. If that makes any sense, because mostly my picks have been like either anti-heroes or anti-heroines or kind of villainesses.
Because you like somebody who's a little bit dangerous and also somebody who's broken that you can fix. So,
yeah. But no, I just like again, like I do think she's a good person and she is fun. So there's that, and I just think like she's more of just a down to earth kind of personality that legitimately I could see just myself settling down with. Yeah, so smashing.
I'd have to agree.
I mean, to be fair, it'd be kind of dickish of us, of guys we know who create a character, to not smash the character.
This is true.
Yeah. Ed Brewer, hot and a good person. I didn't know there were many of us left. We are a very rare breed, Ed.
I can't. I don't know if I can really own up to the idea of being a good person, so I don't know if I count.
I can't really own up to being hot, but you don't see me complaining.
Oh, hush.
Yeah. But
You're
yeah,
cute.
so I'm smashing. Don't.
I agree. This is one of the ones we agree on.
Yeah.
And this, incidentally, is why I made sure my list in both this week and last week were all male, because I knew that if I allowed myself to include female characters that I liked, we would cross over too much. So
yeah, like, I think we just have too much similar tastes with like women that it honestly we just be like
constantly jinxing each other and owing each other sodas, and I already owe Brainstormer like 5, so not happening.
Oh no, you owe me way more than that, man. At least like a 20 or more.
I'm just gonna have to get you like a 6-pack of Cokes whenever we do actually hang out.
5, 6.
Or one of those cubes that has like 32 sodas in it.
5 6-packs and we got a deal. Anyway. Yeah. Also, congratulations to Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini for raising up the funds to get Common America Volume 3 going.
Yeah. Also, thanks again for the reference to me in Common America Volume 2. Now, what you should do is you should basically make a parody version of Ape Sapien using that character. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but it's a good idea, and it would give me my own comic. So
I mean, they already got like Black Ops and Common America and some other stuff, like all Walmart and stuff like that. So
well, I'm just throwing it out there. A good idea is a good idea.
Fair enough. All right, so Dalton had kind of slim pickings and with the next two, and honestly, when he told me these two, like he picked these two, I legitimately wanted to puke.
Yeah, there aren't enough cute, strong jock characters to play with. So
I'm legitimately surprised you didn't pick Wolverine at all.
No, he's too
aggressive.
He's too much of an asshole.
But you two would complement each other perfectly, though. You're an asshole. He's an asshole.
Also, he's like 5'4", so he's a little bit on the shorter side.
You can have a magic hat like Frosty the Snowman in the comic. He's kind of a Lovecraftian squid robot. So
yeah, my approach was Basically, Looney Tunes version of Abe Sapien would be
Wait,
how I would play it.
that character, you do realize that character was a monster and got like killed in the first couple of pages, right?
Yeah, but A, it could be a prequel, and B, people survive quote unquote death in comics all the time. Plus, he's a Lovecraftian creature. I think it takes a little bit more than just blowing him up to kill him.
All right. So this is the first of two very weird and just scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to say banana. I don't know why I was going to say banana. Amadeus Cho, aka the totally awesome Hulk. This is Dalton's, by the way, not mine. I feel like that needs distinctly said.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, he has all of the strengths of the Hulk and none of the downside, and he acts like a complete dude bro about it. So, plus, despite the stupid everyone in Marvel is a genius trope, he is technically like the seventh smartest person on the planet. So that does mean that we could connect over more than just the fact that I think he's hot. Aesthetically. You'd obviously have to be a better written version of said character, but at least in concept, he's cute. So I can work with that.
Ed Brewer says the Hulk for preteens.
Like I said, he's the Hulk without any of the downsides of the Hulk. And we could actually have meaningful conversations if he was actually written up to his standard of intelligence. So I can work with that.
All right. Passing just on the fact that it's an SJW character. Also, and like I don't swing that way, and also I don't want to be crushed by this guy.
Again, I wouldn't mind.
I feel like as your friend, like if you were to be thinking about going out with this guy, I say have more self-respect for yourself. I realize that's asking a lot, but still.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I wouldn't be complaining. And hey, I could maybe talk him out of all of that social justice woo bullshit. So not only would I be happy to date him, but I could make him a better person and make him a less insufferable character. So public service via dating, because I can do that apparently.
What'd you say you do? Like, just could you repeat that?
I said I could talk him out of all the social justice crap.
And let me do this. Oh wait, no, you're serious. Let me laugh harder.
Swear to God, I need to start wearing a watch so I can condescendingly look at it when you do like this. Are we good?
Yeah, no, we're good. Ed Brewer says, no, Hulk be smashing behind your back. I mean, he does seem, this guy does seem like he would do that. I'm not even gonna.
I mean, I mean, he is like 8 feet tall. I can understand not being satisfied by just one partner, so I wouldn't mind.
You again, have more self-respect for yourself, man.
We had to come up with 10 of these, and I was running out of characters. So.
Oh, I know. Like again, the next one is horrific.
Yeah, if you guys think the Amadeus Cho Hulk is the bottom of the barrel, You need to hold on to something tightly. Just brace yourself.
Yep. Okay, give me a second. I'm just getting the pictures up and ready. Okay. All right, so my last pick is actually, you know what? No, let's just move to yours because I do want us to kind of end like with both. So, because you have 11, I have 10. So
Yeah.
let's go with your next pick, just so we get that over and out with. For the record, there are two characters on this picture because I couldn't find a single image of this character he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Brace yourselves. Ed Brewer, I sense Iceman in the future. No, something far worse, Ed. I am. Ugh.
I was scraping the bottom of the proverbial barrel.
No, you were not
The
scraping.
only
Dude, you were not scraping the bottom of the barrel. You were scraping the very crust of the earth underneath the barrel.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'd say drum roll, but I don't think either of us could.
Yeah, where's your soundboard when you need it?
I forgot to open it. Safe space from the new Warriors.
Or I guess here I'm gonna put an asterisk and say the proposed concept of safe space.
Oh yeah, that makes it better.
The alleged concept of safe space, not the actual execution, because the execution was terrible. But the idea of a overprotective jock whose power is to create force fields that can only protect other people is very much kind of up my alley. So yeah, if he were actually designed like a jock instead of just called that,
Yeah,
which is why I asked Brainstormer to go with one of the redesigns instead of the.
Well, okay. The reason why I did was one. I mean, I wasn't afraid to credit the artist or anything. It's just like I'm sure I'd have to ask for permission, and I didn't want to have the possibility of waiting so long to get the
Mhm.
permission. So that's why I kind of wanted to get just the initial design for it.
Okay.
Believe me, I would have gone one of the redesigns in a heartbeat if I could, but
Mhm.
I didn't want to take the chance of waiting so long that basically we didn't have time and all.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't Clarion the Witch Boy. This is bad though, says Ed.
I would never. I hate Clarion the Witch Boy, if I'm entirely honest. Like he used to not be bad before they made him a Lord of Chaos, but um but yeah, after they made him a Lord of Chaos, that character became insufferable. And even that being said, I don't like magic user characters are characters that I would like as a friend and not really a character I would consider dating. Barring somebody like Shazam stroke Captain Marvel. Um, then maybe. Which shit I should have put Shazam on this list, but never mind.
Kind of wish we had we could rewind a little bit with the knowledge we have now and just choose better.
Yeah, like if ever there was a need for the wah wah music, the stereotypical wah wah wah, it's now.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Ah.
There we go.
Finally opened my soundboard after like a year. But yeah,
You keep forgetting to open it when we go live.
yeah, no, I keep forgetting to open it. Like I don't know why.
Hmm.
pass. Legitimately, I'm passing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the concept isn't bad. It's just like, again, I'm not. It's
Yeah.
just like, again, oh
He doesn't swing that way.
yeah. For the record, there are like some really great like fan redesigns of the new Warriors. Like, just type up the new Warriors redesigns. Like, there are
Yeah.
some amazing ones out there. Like, legitimately. Like,
Yeah,
I've looked at,
that actually look like the characters that were described instead of this half-assed bullshit.
yeah, seriously. All right. We just want to end with your list, and then we can end on mine because I think we ended with your list last time.
No, let's do your last one and then my last one.
Okay. All right.
Because we just did two of mine.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. My number 10 for my Smash Pass list. Dinah Lance, aka Black Canary. For the record, it is extremely hard. Like, I don't know why it is so hard to find comic art of these characters.
Now all I can think of is the song from that one episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Music Meister?
Yeah, but the one that he sings to Black Canary and then Green Arrow does a reprise of. Her fairy voice carries I'd marry Canary.
That's a good episode all around.
Yeah, I love musicals in general, but even amongst musicals, the Mayhem of the Music Meister is one of the best.
I mean, it's Neil Patrick Harris, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean the same guy who did Dr. Horrible Sing Along Blong did the Music Meister, so that should tell you all that you need to know.
But yeah, it's just like the legacy of the Black Canary is amazing because she's like one of the first female characters of the Justice Society of America. She is one of the more prolific characters of the DC universe. And again, like the legacy of Black Canary is amazing. Expert martial artist. I believe she's also a motorcyclist as well.
Yes.
Not to mention she. All right, this is I'm going. I might be going full street here because I'm from like the inner city, so I can go urban if I want. She got Green Arrow pussy whipped like a motherfucker.
She does.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if I blame him in this case.
No, I don't blame him. I wouldn't blame him either. But but the thing is, she's not a hard ass like some badass women try to be.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually like a kind, gentle, caring person.
Mm-hmm.
And like the biggest thing I know Black Canary from is not just Batman the Brave and the Bold or Arrow or it's Young Justice. Like, I like Black Canary and Young Justice. Specifically, if you remember the season 1 episode, it was the one right after Failsafe. I remember what it was called. Where the kids are going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
With Black Canary as the therapist. She is, again, like, she's such a compassionate person, and I think she's so different when compared to like other members of like the Justice League or Justice Society that it's just refreshing,
Mm-hmm.
Plus, again, she's bad she's hot. I can't deny that. Like,
yeah.
But no, she's just a really cool person, and I respect her as a hero, really.
Yeah, fair.
Plus the fishnets. Come on.
I can't really blame you there either. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm smashing.
I think I would too. But the actual fuck?
It's on the soundboard. It's like one of the things.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd closed
Well, it was
it.
either that or female orgasm. Like, there's a button here for it. So
I shouldn't be surprised, but I was.
I don't like pressing that one. It's super loud.
I,
Okay, that was unintentional. I legitimately did not mean to say that.
I,
Like,
I,
get your mind out the gutter, Dalton.
I am now not the embarrassing thing on this live stream. Yay! For like 5 seconds.
That was unintentional. Plus, you're the one who took it there. All right.
Oh, trust me, Brainstormer, my darling. We were all thinking it.
Degenerates.
I love you, man. You know I do.
Use the Sherlock text tone. I don't know what that is. It might be on one of the other pages, but I prefer to keep it on the first page. Just because they're ones so easy to use.
Oh, I know what they're talking about. When in the BBC the modern day BBC version of Sherlock, whenever he gets a text from Irene Adler, she set it up so that he hears her gasm noise.
I thought it was just moaning, but you know. Bunch of degenerates you are.
Yeah, we love you.
Power of Christ compels you. I'm doing cross with my fingers.
It doesn't though. That stopped working many moons ago, man.
Fair enough. All right, so let's get to your last pick. This one was actually there's a funny story behind it. But yeah, so Dalton's the last pick of the night. Hank McCoy, aka Beast from the X-Men.
Mm-hmm. And so again,
you'll pick this guy, but you won't pick Wolverine like that.
Because Wolverine is too short and he's an asshole.
Dude, have you met yourself? Like, no offense, I say that as your friend.
Yes, I know, but that's the point. In order for my relationships to work, I need the contrast. And also I need somebody who's sweet and gentle and overprotective, and that doesn't fit. And that doesn't fit Wolverine, but it does kind of fit Beast.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, please go through your reasoning.
And again, he's huge, he's super strong, and he's intelligent enough to keep pace with me. So, win. And also, he has insecurity issues over the mutation, and I would try my best to show him that didn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. So the funny story with this was because Dalton sent the list to me like yesterday because he forgot to send me the list.
Yeah.
But I asked like which version of Beast did he want me to use? luckily, I found an image that encapsulated all the forms Beast has had over the years.
Yeah, honestly, if I had my druthers, I probably would have gone with the one where he was like the high school jock before before his fur mutation kicked in. But
So the classic.
yeah, but I'm not really that picky in this case because, like I said, he's huge, he's strong, he's overprotective, and he can keep pace with me intellectually, which honestly I can take or leave because when a character is dumber than me, I that translates to me or my fantasizing about because because they're dumber than me, then then that means they need me for something, and I like the idea that someone who I would want to be with needs me for things. But at the same time, I can appreciate intelligence enough to where if, in addition to the other things, they're also intelligent, that's a plus too, because that means that means I don't have to constantly restrain myself or dumb myself down in order to be with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I'm passing. Just, I mean, he's
Yeah.
cool dude and all. It's just I don't think he's really my type. But
Yeah.
again, also whole straight thing as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. So pass, smash, and whatever. I can't think of the clever thing in that. Okay, but funny story. I had to make sure I went out of my way to not pick the most obvious ones like Power Girl and She-Hulk, because that's on everyone's Smash or Pass list with comic book characters. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
And I couldn't do Sue Storm either because, well, again, I wanted to do Mary Jane, but again, she's too obvious.
Mhm.
But Sue Storm, I don't gel with her at all.
Mhm.
I don't know why. Um, Funny thing is, I like Power Girl and She-Hulk for kind of similar reasons, also very different ones.
Mhm. Yeah.
Power Girl she's actually a very interesting character when you look deeper than like the whole boob window thing.
Yeah.
And there's a quote that she has said in DC Universe Online, which I don't know if that game is still going on or not. I actually
Mhm.
played it for a little bit when I was younger, but I never really finished it.
Mhm.
Um, Dalton is talking long term, but you are saying Smash Pass, nothing long term about that. Okay, yeah, that's how we kind of Smash Pass for us is kind of different, actually.
Yeah. Because we're both very long-term relationship oriented.
Yeah. And there's no real thing for that, so we just decide Smash or Pass. I mean, granted, there are exceptions, obviously, but
Yeah. But in general, when we do a Smash or Pass list, it's under the auspices of like the whole stereotypical romance, true love, the whole bit.
I wouldn't say true love, but yeah.
Well, in my case at least, it's the true love thing because that's ultimately what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a big overprotective softie who can grab me up in his arms and bear hug me to death if necessary.
Yeah.
And cuddle.
But yeah, it's similar with Shiva, and don't get me started on how they've kind of treated. Honestly, I hate how they treated a lot of characters recently in comics recently, like specifically Marvel.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's just real again, like she's really fun. She's really cool. Um, I'm pretty sure she'd also be taller than me, which I don't know why, but I find very attractive for some reason.
Uh-huh.
And again, like she's just really fun, and I don't know, like I'll be honest, my life's kind of boring, so that fun is kind of necessary sometimes. But yeah, those are really like the most. And again, like Mary Jane, like she's just obvious. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I think it was harder for Dalton because there aren't. I mean, like I don't want to say that obviously, but it's hard. It's slimmer pickings, legitimately.
Yeah, there aren't too many male characters that fit all my criteria.
He's also like an extremely picky bitch. No offense.
None taken. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because in all honesty, ultimately I only want to play the dating game one time. I want to find one person that I can spend the rest of my life with. I don't want to ever have to think about it again when I do. So I want to get it right. I want to get it right the first time and not have to worry about it ever again. Because I don't want to do the stupid rotating romance thing of like be in 3 or 4 relationships in a row of substandard people and never have it work out properly.
I got nothing to say, honestly. But yeah, folks. One more week of February, and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program and catch up on all the shit we've missed out on February because February decided to just drop everything on us.
Yeah, it seems like the one time we're like contractually obligated to do something else, the world is just like, here, have all the news.
Yeah. We'll cover as much as we can in the first couple weeks. Probably first week back will be just us just covering all like trailers and stuff.
Yeah, recapping all of the stuff we've missed while we were away.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I think we're gonna have to start searching some stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with that, folks, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, auf Wiedersehen, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
Fuck off.